San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the gas lamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he does.
You can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
What's up, San Diego, and happy Wednesday to everybody out there in America's finest city. I'm Braden Surprenant. He's Frank Marchese. This is the Braden Surprenant Show, live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We got a lot to talk about today, obviously involving Padres baseball. Oh, wow. Pirates set a 3-run bomb. It's now 4-3. Not that that really matters at this point because the Pirates have already lost the series, not really helping us out too much with Chicago. We'll talk about that and where everything lays out in the standings. Everybody wants to jump off the ship again. Didn't take very long. And here's the deal. And I didn't really want to start with this. I had this later on in the show, but I'm going to kind of tease it with just the National League teams for a second. And then we're going to go do a deeper dive of this because I think this is ridiculous. I'm kind of tired of like random stats for the Padres that have zero context. And I'm really tired of random stats for Major League Baseball teams with zero context. Okay, we can talk about Michael King as much as we want last night. I mean, my mentions were just blowing up yesterday. It's like, I can't believe this idiot thought that Michael King can start game one. He shouldn't even be on a playoff roster. All right, well, that's kind of crazy. Might as well cut the guy now. Remember the last time we cut somebody?
We even roped a freshman pitcher up at Galveston College into this whole ordeal, too.
Braden Klug, not to be related to maybe one of Adam's nephews or something like that. There's a pitcher, and where is he at?
Galveston College.
Where is that?
Texas.
Galveston, Texas. Nice. Yep. Fun stuff.
We got a like out of him, though. So
that's great. That guy was probably like, what is this?
Yep.
What is going on?
Fan of the show.
You know what?
Braden
I hope
Klug.
we got to get him on the air then. Gal just asked Galveston, Texas is Galveston College. Is that where he's at?
Yep, Galveston College. He is a left-handed pitcher.
Okay.
He is 6 foot tall, 190.
Time to email their SID. He's going to be so shocked at what's going on.
6 foot tall, 190. He's going to be a freshman. I believe a sophomore this year, probably, if he hasn't updated his profile.
That's great. Anyway, so everybody's in my mentions about how stupid this guy would be to start King game one. He can't even start a playoff game. All right, dude, then don't play him, which means what's the point of him being on the team anymore? I mean, he's still like kind of rehabbing right now. I mean, if you think, and here's the thing, it just started to spiral. The doomer started to just spiral out of control last night on social media, just saying like everybody that Preller takes a chance on, some big whiff, like this King guy's never been good, blah, blah. I mean, he didn't do well. Obviously, he's leaking stuff over the heart of the plate. Mets ambushed him early. My question is, and again, there's some dude just like call me pathetic for saying that you have to like trying to reason with him, which is my fault. Reasoning with people on social media is a fool's errand. But you look at the starting rotation for the Padres. Somebody has to start. Okay, somebody has to start in the playoff series. And so we went through it. And again, thanks for listening. Nobody ever listens. They have it on. They don't pay attention, apparently. Not everybody. Obviously, there's a lot of you that listen very religiously every single day, and we really appreciate it. And you actually listen to what I have to say. But the strategy was Michael King, you have go game one, because if he has a blow-up, you have the bullpen that can save him. And then you rely on Pivetta game 2 to get you right, and then you can use the bullpen again in game 3. That was the strategy that you play out when you have the situation that you currently have. So you could either be that person that tries to find a solution, or you could be the person that I have yelled about for a long time that just is the one that points out obvious problems but never has any solutions to said problems. You are a windsock. Yeah, we all understand the starting rotation right now is not great. Okay, you have up and down outings out of Yu Darvish. You don't know what you're going to get out of Dylan Cease. Michael King is coming back from injury. Randy Vasquez doesn't have the experience. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Nick Pivetta is basically the only thing that is somewhat of a guarantee. And even that, he's like a 2 or 3 pitcher. Like, he's not an ace on any other team. Like, he's not a stereotypical ace pitcher despite how great he has pitched this season. Okay, so this is the situation you have. Yes, I understand it's not great. Thanks for telling me. Thanks, Captain Obvious. Yeah, it's not great. It's not the best situation ever. But just pointing out problems isn't going to do anything. That's why we talk about this stuff on the radio all the time. This is what makes sports talk radio fun. Thinking about the strategy. I was talking with Ben Higgins as we made our little transfer of shows. And what they were talking about was very interesting about how do you go about a bullpen day early in a wild card round, because how can you go through the wild card and not use what potentially could be your best asset if King fails, if Pivetta fails, you're 0-2, and then you didn't even get to use guys like Mason Miller or Jeremiah Estrada or Adrian Morejon or Robert Suarez. I mean, those are that is your asset. So we'll talk about some of that strategy. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I think that was a great idea. I'd even take it a step further. But again, when talking about why I said what I said yesterday, based on what you would expect out of Michael King, and again, I don't really care if he gets shelled in these next 2 or 3 outings. He just needs to go out there and try to get right for the playoffs. All you care about is what he does in October. So for me, when looking at the situation of Michael King having like 3 to 4 starts to get built up, because he's like re-going through spring training right now in a pennant race, which is not ideal, but there's nothing really the Padres can do about it. What are you going to do? Not use this guy? Everybody else is like, he's going to take the option. He ain't taking the option. All of his injuries were fluke injuries this year. It's not even like it's a sign of, oh, he's damaged goods. This guy slept wrong in a hotel room. Pushed him back. Got tweaked on his knee. Everybody's like, don't re-sign this guy. Let him walk. Fine, go ahead. I don't want to hear people bitch about it when he plays for somebody in your division and kicks your ass for the next 3 or 4 years. I think Michael King is still an asset for this team. Just to say to cut him and get rid of him is ridiculous. That's the difference between being concerned about certain avenues for the Padres and just being a doomer because you want them to fail. There's a lot of Padres fans, not a lot, but there is a small group of Padres fans that are Padres fans because the Padres are miserable. At least they've been in the past, and they enjoy the misery. And those come out every once in a while, especially on social media, especially with not using their government name or not using a picture of themselves. Those are the people that like to jump on the Padres' grave because, look, everybody's miserable with me. It's really sad. It's super sad. So I feel bad for those people. I hope they can find happiness in other things. But again, last night was ridiculous. Like the reaction of 1 start. He's going to have a couple of more starts where he has to get into gear. Now, if he continues to do exactly what he did last night, Michael King, you have an even more serious problem on your hands when it comes to the wild card round. Because nobody trusts Dylan Cease, at least from our reactions from fans yesterday. Nobody trusts Dylan Cease. Michael King is washed. Nick Pivetta is your only starter, and we don't trust Yu Darvish. Might have a little bit of faith in Randy Vasquez. If that's the general synopsis of Padres fans viewing their starting pitching, it's going to be rough, dude. Like, it's not going to be great. But I think you have to take a deep breath and realize that there are solutions to these problems. Yes, everybody's got issues right now. Everybody in baseball has issues right now. Everybody that's competing for a playoff spot right now has issues with their pitching. You see the Dodgers last night? More no-hit innings out of their starters. Bullpen coughed it up again. Awful. Chicago Cubs bullpen. Awful. Start going through it. We talked about this 2 weeks ago. Everybody's dealing with pitching problems. And again, this is what I wanted to get to. We like to complain about certain things in a vacuum, thinking that every other team we're competing with is perfect. They're not. They all have their own issues. Their own fan bases are doing the same thing. This is what I wanted to bring up because I'm seeing this circling on social media from a lot of media members and everything else. And I'm not saying the Padres' record is good about this. This is not good. They still have the worst record in comparison to everybody else when it comes to And this is what everybody wants to point to because Padres are going to have to start the season, start the playoffs on the road, and they haven't done well on the road against playoff teams, and therefore they will never win a series on the road against a playoff team because the record says that they can't do it. All right, let's talk about that. I went in and found the playoff, or should I say, the records of every current playoff team in the National League against other current playoff teams all on the road. I'm not including all winning record teams. I'm just talking about playoff teams, okay? So this is Philadelphia, Milwaukee, LA, Chicago, San Diego, New York against each other and against the American League and their current standings of teams that are in the playoffs. Toronto, New York, Boston, Detroit, Seattle, Houston. Again, context. Everybody's complaining about this. Fine, go ahead and complain. Padres being 9-23, not good. I'm going to agree with you. It's not great. But let's talk about context here for a second. How's everybody else doing? Because maybe, I don't know, maybe it's very difficult to win series on the road. I think a lot of people can agree with that. It's very difficult to win series on the road. Anybody disagree with that? Frank? It's very difficult to win series on the road in general. That's why they say, take care of business at home, go 500 on the road. All right? What's the other thing that's very hard to do? I don't know. Beat a playoff team. Beat teams that are good. Beat teams that are good. So now you're adding beating good teams on the road. Very difficult to do. In fact, it's so difficult to do that only one team right now in the National League has a winning record against teams that are currently in a playoff spot on the road. That'd be the Milwaukee Brewers, and they're 14-11. They've played 3 American League teams that are currently in a playoff spot on the road. 6 of those series have happened before the trade deadline, and since the trade deadline, Milwaukee has played 500 on the road against current playoff teams. That's Milwaukee. Let's look at the big bad Phillies. The big bad Phillies, if it wasn't for the last 2 games against the Dodgers, where the Dodgers completely choked against Philadelphia, the big bad Phillies with the last 2 wins in LA are 10-16. But going into Monday, they were 8-16 on the road against current playoff teams. They have played 3 teams in the American League on the road. 6 of the series for Philadelphia against teams that are current playoff teams on the road happened before the trade deadline. Since the trade deadline, the Phillies are playing 500. They're 4-4. Those are the top 2 seeds in the National League. Okay? Not necessarily the best. I'll take it, though. Like, if the Padres had that as a record, I'd be like, that's satisfactory. I would like to ask, too, to any Padres fans out there, what you would like, and I'm telling you right now, I don't like 9-23 against playoff teams on the road. I don't like that. I agree. And the Padres have the worst record out of all the teams in the playoffs. But what I'm saying is the context. What do you want that record to be? If you're asking for a winning record, you're at good luck, because nobody else in the National League has one currently except for Milwaukee. Milwaukee's 14-11 on the season. But since the trade deadline, they're 4-4 also against current playoff teams on the road. Okay, so 500 would be great, I think. But the thing is nobody's 500. Philadelphia's 10-16. You look at the big bad Dodgers, and they've struggled. I mean, this is the worst Dodgers team that they've had in a long time. The Dodgers are 6-14 against playoff teams, current playoff teams on the road. Okay, 6-14. You know what the most significant thing about that is, though? Out of the 6 playoff teams in the American League, the Dodgers only had to play 1 on the road. 5 of them are at home. They only had to play 1 of them on the road. And context is key. We're about to talk about that with the Padres for a second. The Dodgers are 6-14 against current playoff teams on the road. They're terrible. They can't beat anybody on the road either. So that means they can't win. They're not going to win a division series as a team that's not going to get a bye, right? They can't beat anybody on the road that's good. Wrap it up. 1 game, only 1 series against current American League playoff team. It was against Boston. They lost 2 out of 3. 6 of those series happened before the trade deadline. Since then, they're 1-2. They haven't played anybody else. And guess what? You look at the Dodgers' schedule, they're not going on the road to play any other playoff team the rest of the season. No, they got one more. They got Seattle. My mistake. So there'll be 2 series against current American League playoff teams. Look at the Cubs. Cubs are 13-17 on the road against current playoff teams, including losing 2 out of 3 here at Petco Park. They played 4 teams, or should I say 4 of the American League playoff teams on the road. 9 of those series happened before the trade deadline. Since the trade deadline, they're 1-2 in their games against playoff teams on the road. Let's talk about the Mets real quick. The Mets are 8-21 against current playoff teams on the road. They have played 4 current American League playoff teams on the road. 6 of those series happened before the trade deadline. Since the trade deadline, the New York Mets are 2-8 against teams that are currently playoff teams on the road. They're 2-8 since the trade deadline. Padres are awful too. I mean, I'm not going to justify the Padres, but at the same time, I think I feel like we find ourselves comparing the Padres to unrealistic expectations, thinking that other teams in Major League Baseball are all playing above 500 and are all perfect. It's not the case. Padres are 9-23 against current playoff teams on the road. Here's the significant thing. Out of all 6 teams in the American League that are going to make the playoffs or in a playoff spot, the Padres played 5 of them on the road. They played Detroit on the road. They played Houston on the road. They played Toronto on the road. They played New York on the road. And they played Seattle on the road. Now, the Seattle one's a little bit different because they had a home and home with Seattle. But they played 5 of the playoff teams on the road. The only one that came here was Boston. They took 2 out of 3 from Boston. In comparison to the Dodgers, who had 1 of those teams on the road. And currently 4 of them at home. The Mariners do get to host the Dodgers at the end of the season. So I think it's context. So the Padres, I'm not saying they were good. Like, I'm not trying to justify the Padres record. But the reality is, it is very difficult to win on the road against playoff teams. Which also means it's going to be very difficult to do that in the playoffs. But at the same time, we have seen 6 seeds do very well in the postseason. We've seen 5 seeds do very well in the postseason. We've seen teams who have done this before. So the context to me is key. The whole, they're 9-23, so them getting the 5 seed means they're automatically going to lose to the Cubs is utterly ridiculous. Them getting the 5 seed, making it through the Cubs, and then losing in the divisional round because they don't have the home field advantage is utterly ridiculous. Context. It's the same thing with the entire, records against teams that are currently above 500. That fluctuates so much as the season goes on. Because that stat is ever changing with teams that are bouncing above and below 500. Just apply the context. So I gave you all the context of those teams. And then later on in the show, we'll talk about some of the former teams. Teams that went to the World Series that also couldn't beat teams on the road in the regular season. It doesn't matter until you get to the postseason. The whole point of this entire exercise. Context. The context is key. This is why stats, like, as much as you think statistics, it's like, well, these are facts because they're statistics. You can manipulate statistics in any possible way. Don't believe me? Watch any year. Watch the news during election years. They'll all contradict themselves. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. A little bit extended beginning part of the show. I had to get that off my chest. Frank and I will discuss last night's game. When we come back, we'll get to your phone calls. We're off and running. Braden Surprenant Show on a Wednesday. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. 10:24 on a Wednesday morning. I think Nate Taylor in the chat said the best. He had the best. He's got the comment of the day so far. Awful windy out there. 4 windsock emojis. Yeah, it is. Windsock season is out and about today. Windsock season is out and about today. Where did that? Oh, here it is.
Yeah, I was going to say Jocelyn is in the chat now.
We were waiting for Jocelyn to get into the chat so we could open this box.
It's an unboxing today on the show.
Unboxing on the show. We have been given a gift from Jocelyn. And we got it. So I'm going to unbox it here as much as I can with the tape, I guess. Actually, you know what? I could probably just tweak this here.
It's very nice how boxes come with an undo it bottom on it now.
Yeah, well,
very secure.
Very secure. It's great. All right, what do we got here? I don't have to use my keys anymore. Oh, here we go. No, there's no Lumpy in the box. Let's go Bobcats. I love it. Is this mine? Yes. Here's yours.
Let's go. Oh,
We got Sage Creek.
y'all saw that catch?
That was a great catch.
That was a
Look at
nice
that.
one there.
Sage Creek baseball shirt. How
There
about
you
that?
go. Look
There
at
we
that.
go.
Huh?
Go Bobcats. Love it. Add it to the shirts. I'll have to don this a little bit more in the springtime.
I have more high school shirts now than I bought for gym class while I was attending high school.
How about that? Boom. Go Bobcat. We told everybody, send us your high school gear of your local high school. We'll rep it on the show. All of you people that are tired of me wearing cathedral stuff all the time, send me something else.
Herman, I will switch shirts during the break.
Herman, I knew he was going to be on that. Anybody want to send him shorts?
Please do not send me shorts.
I love it. Sage Creek. So we have Steel Canyon. We have Sage Creek. I obviously have Dawn stuff. I have been given Granite stuff in the past. What else do I have? Oh, you know what I had? I had a Sarah High School CIF championship one before they changed their name to Canyon Hills.
I couldn't help but notice the lack of merch as well that Scrapey has given us for La Costa Canyon. That would be.
Well, I
that
said
would be
I
cool.
refuse to wear La Costa Canyon stuff. No offense to Sean Silvical and company. I just can't. I can't do it as a Don. I can't do. There's 3 schools I can't wear. I can't wear LCC. I can't wear Torrey Pines, and I can't wear Saints. I just won't do it.
Much of the same way I won't wear East Lake, Otay Ranch, or that's about it. I mean, we really didn't.
I mean, much
Bonita
respect.
Vista a close one.
Much respect to all 3 of those schools as an opponent, but I can't do it. I can't wear the LCC stuff. I can't wear the Torrey stuff. Can't wear the Saint stuff. In fact, Davis, who helped, he's probably at school right now at Torrey Pines. I saw the Torrey Pines ad. I immediately had to grill him for it. I can't do it. I can't do it. St. Anthony, Jersey City, New Jersey. Yeah, I'll rep it. I can wear modern day Catholic stuff. It doesn't bother me.
St. Anthony's, New Jersey. Yeah, go for it.
Sure, I have no qualms with them. Absolutely not.
Got a couple of old Babylon Panthers shirts that I could probably wear that I may be able to fit into now.
Juan Reese said he'd send me some El Camino stuff.
There you go.
Sounds good.
See that?
Send it. I'll wear it. I'm here to rep all the high schools. Oh, I got a Script Ranch volleyball shirt too. So
there you go.
I have to throw that in there. They won yesterday. They beat Point Loma.
Very good. Very nice.
Congrats to the Lady Falcons yesterday. I did get to see that. So I went to the game yesterday.
This was a fun conversation between us.
I know. I went to the game yesterday, and I had this. So Coach Petrie at USD. Yeah, there you go. Go Galveston Hurricanes baseball. We need those shirts. You know what we need to do? We need to buy the NIL Braden Klug shirts for the bit. That's awesome. That would be great. Anyway, I go to the game last night, and then I'm walking in, and USD's volleyball coach is walking in, Jen Petrie.
Nice.
And like we have this like encounter of, I know you from somewhere outside of this context. I mean, I obviously know who Jen Petrie is. She's been on our show. Like but I never know if some of the coaches at USD know who I am. She had this look on her face, like I've seen you before, but like not wearing. I was wearing my the Houston Oilers shirt, like not wearing that and not walking into a high school volleyball game. And I was like, "Hi, Jen." She was like, "Hey," and it was kind of like this, "Where do I know you from?" kind of attitude. And then I awkwardly said, I was cringing about it the whole time. After the fact, I was like, "I'll see you at your game on Thursday," and I'm like, she has no idea what I am. I just no idea.
I'm a big fan of your work too, as a matter of fact.
Yeah, exactly. The fact that like all their hype videos have my voice in the background, like I don't know, maybe it was the voice that gave it away, but I was like, this is weird. Like I feel awkward now. This is the very awkward moment about running it. I'm gonna see her Thursday, so I'm gonna have to talk to her on Thursday. Be like, hey, I'm the guy you saw at the whatever game. So I thought she was recruiting. I guess her daughter's on the team or whatever. But it was weird saying it's weird when you see people from work or one line of work at a different work setting. So it was super weird yesterday with that. So anyway, that was that. I got all these people saying, would you wear this shirt? Yeah, I told you. The 3 shirts I won't wear: Torrey Pines, Saints, LCC. That's it. And I respect all those schools. It's just the rivalry thing. It's the rivals. They run deep. I can't also wear that as a coach at Cathedral. I can't ever. I'll just get grilled. It's nothing personal. It's just business. So anyway, 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Big thank you to Jocelyn for sending the Sage Creek baseball shirt. We will rep that on the show. We do got to wear the scratch stuff for Steel Cannon's undefeated.
Steel Cannon's undefeated. The scratch stuff, yes.
Scratch and the Cougs fired up out there in Hamul. Juan in Oceanside, you're the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Juan?
What's up, Braden? What's up, Frank? I feel like partially responsible for the Padres losing yesterday because I didn't talk smack on Frank's Mets, who are terrible and suck, and they just fluked out a game from Michael King, but, it is what it is. I do feel like with the starting pitching concerns, I mean, I know you've talked about it ad nauseum with Dylan Cease and Randy Vasquez, but do you feel like JP Sears has any spot on the postseason roster, maybe as like a long relief guy if we do get to the NLDS or something? Because it does seem like our starting pitching has been kind of questionable.
I don't really think JP Sears I don't think he has a playoff roster spot. I really don't. And I appreciate the phone call, Juan. I don't think you could roll him out there in a playoff game in any type of context. If you look at other, I mean, at this point, so this is what you got to navigate. You got to navigate that. We're really talking about the wild card series and the divisional series, right? I mean, anything after that, you can reevaluate. But in the wild card series, you need to figure out how you're going to win 2 games. And with some days off in the divisional series, I think Ben brought up a good point of the morning show today about what to use in the playoffs. Because the reality is you don't want to get to... I remember this when in college when I watched Baltimore play Toronto in a wild card game. And Baltimore had Zach Britton as a closer. That was like the year Zach Britton was like the best in the game. And all you saw that entire game was him warming up and never coming in, and Baltimore losing and never making it to the next round. And you didn't use him, and the game was going in like extra. I think it went super late. I can't remember. I'd have to look it up. But I remember that I think they went to extra innings, and Zach Britton didn't pitch because they were like saving them for like the proper opportunity. Again, they were on the road, so they were waiting for that, try to shut him down inning, I guess. And so they went through the game without their best asset. And so the question is, can you make it to the wild card series without utilizing your best asset, which is your bullpen? We're going to talk about that in the context of the rotation. We talked about it yesterday, but does Michael King's outing yesterday change things? We'll discuss when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. 10:39 on a Wednesday. I got thrown off when I got a notification on my phone that we weren't having a show today.
Yeah, that was.
It happens. It
not bad.
happens.
It was
It
a
happens.
misscheduled tweet.
And then Frank wasn't here yet, and I was like, looking around, like, uh-oh. Does he think today's Thursday?
Yeah, no, I
God,
wasn't.
I hope today's not. And then I was like, wait a minute. Is today Thursday? And I'm like looking at my watch, like that says Wednesday. I think they've only played one game in New York. I don't remember them playing two. I started to question reality for a second.
Yeah,
because I'm usually the one that doesn't have the dates right. I always forget dates.
I wasn't here. I was going to be here plenty of time, but wonderful CHPD or California Highway Patrol decided to close 2 lanes on the 8 east of San Diego State to put a motorcycle on a flatbed. So that was nice. That was very kind of them.
I think we have a hidden segment in here where Frank complains about traffic and people that drive. But I don't know where to put that into the show yet.
That
might be a podcast on its own.
That was the next question I asked you when I got here.
Yes, what would that be?
Was, did we think too highly of society?
There we go.
When we created the 2 lanes merging into one? Like, did we expect people to be more competent to be able to handle that? Or did we had our expectations a little too high on that one, I think.
I don't want to complain. I don't want to be like the guy that complains about driving on the air because I know it annoys people. But the last couple of days, I've noticed this even more. I have to ask people that do this. What's the speed limit on the freeway? Just in general.
65, which I always adhere to.
5 miles. I don't. But 60. Okay, but context. 65. I'm trying to prove a point here. 65 miles an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Correct?
Mm-hmm.
I would say most people probably go over that. I'm not here to judge. I go a little bit higher all the time. I don't think I've ever really driven 65. Not to out myself on the radio, right? But anyway.
That's why I said I always adhere to
right.
65 strictly.
I go with the flow of traffic, which is not going to get you out of a ticket. So just for context, 65 miles an hour is kind of the minimum that most people are driving out there. It's more of a speed minimum more than a speed limit. But anyway, if you're going 65 miles an hour on the freeway, right? Mm-hmm. And most people are going at least 65 miles on the freeway. Let me ask you this, Frank. How fast should you be going as you enter said freeway?
I would say at least 60 to 65. So you're up with the flow of traffic on the road you're going onto.
Correct. Like you have to enter the freeway at freeway speed. Otherwise, you're going to cause a massive accident. Get on the freeway at freeway speed. Whatever that may be. Now, if there's traffic, you don't need to gun it getting on the freeway. You're just going to run into problems. But I've gotten on the freeway, and this is always around like the 9 o'clock hour, because around the 9 o'clock hour in San Diego, we've got the people that are late to work and the people that have nothing to do all day.
Yeah, I thought
just aimlessly driving. And so the last 2 to 3 days, I've noticed it even more. I'm trying to get on the freeway, and the person in front of me, and I know this is how fast they're going because I have to match their speed so I don't bump into them, is going 40 miles an hour. And there are like trucks just blowing past me, and I'm like, I'm going to get killed driving behind you at this slow speed. I get on the freeway at freeway speed. Enter freeway at freeway speed. I'm pretty sure it's part of driving school. Please do that. Don't get people behind you smashed. Please.
If you are driving on a freeway ramp and you get passed by a kite, you should probably speed up a little bit.
You should probably get a little faster. I don't want to make this a thing. I just enter the freeway at freeway speed, please.
And Go Aztecs in the chat just found the name of either the segment or the podcast, Frank's Failures of the Human Race.
Yeah, that could get depressing. But passed by a kite, that's pretty good. Enter freeway at freeway speed. Maybe somebody could tell me why they enter the freeway at 35 miles an hour. I don't really want to open that can of worms, but like, go ahead. Give me a call. Like, why do you enter the freeway at 35 miles an hour?
Call the show. I
would love to know your reasoning behind. I'm going to barely drive onto this. Forget everybody behind me that's also going to get stuck trying to get on the freeway on some of our emerging spots. But it's like, I'm going 35 miles an hour.
We got some things to
Don't
explain
mind me.
to you.
I'm just going slow, backing up traffic. Anyway, all right. Let's get to the pitching situation a little bit more. All right. Actually, we didn't really talk about last night's game too much. What biggest takeaways from let's be frank. Biggest takeaways from last night's game. From a Padres perspective.
Of course, from a Padres perspective. Making Clay Holmes and Sean Manaea look like Tom Seaver and Dwight Gooden last night. Not a good sign. Not a good sign. This offense needs a change. This lineup needs a change. Good thing, though, you got home runs from your 6, 8, and 9 hitters. That's fantastic. That's more than you could ever hope for. Bad news is you got nothing from anyone else. It was an abysmal day on offense. Merrill, 2 for 4, heating up. He's playing a lot better.
Batting lower in the order for no reason.
Batting, yeah, exactly. No one else did anything. And I think the question now is, which we're going to try to answer, does Michael King need more or less starts going into the postseason at this point? Because if he's going to pitch the way he pitched last night, I mean, you could probably argue maybe sitting him for the wild card series and throwing Cease with Vasquez piggybacking, and then have King go in game 1 of the division series. You can make that argument. I don't think it's the right decision.
Neither do I.
But that's an argument you can make now. Especially if this is how it's going to be. 3 innings, 10 hits, 8 runs, 2 strikeouts, no walks though, on 57 pitches, 41 strikes. That's not good, especially for the guy who's expected to be your game 1 starter.
Right. And if not game 1, he's expected to go game 2. I mean, I'm still more confident in him pitching in a playoff game than I am Dylan Cease. But at the same time, I almost feel like he needs more. He needs to get more starts in to try to get up to speed. And to me, here's the thing. I kind of like, you open up a good point about the Michael King situation. Like, let's say, like, why give him the weekend off against Arizona to get ready for the wild card series when he might need more starts? Have him pitch against Arizona and then have him hopefully ready for the divisional series.
Yeah.
Can you win with Pivetta in a bullpen day?
And at that point, do you keep him? Do you put him on the wild card roster? It's the same exact conversation we were having with Dylan Cease yesterday, or Randy Vasquez yesterday, just now with Michael King in that spot. It's the same exact conversation.
It is the same exact conversation. So now you got to think about let's think about the context of not using Michael King, because everybody and their brother doesn't want to have Michael King pitch in the playoffs now, which is amazing. Coming back from like 2 to 3 weeks ago when, I don't know, we all knew that he was going to take some time to get back up to speed. Everybody else is in full playoff mode. He's in spring training mode trying to get back up to speed. And everybody was like talking about Michael King and everything's going to be great. Well, he's got to get up to that point first. He wasn't just going to instantly be dominant. He was going to instantly get you 6 innings. He was going to instantly be on his best. It's going to take some time. And it's going to take a couple of games. And last night was one of those games. And I think, I think Tony might have mentioned this yesterday on the broadcast, but that first start that he had could have been fool's gold.
Yeah, it was freakish.
Yeah.
People don't do that coming off the IL.
Right. So he needs a couple of more starts. We have 11 games left. He needs a couple of more starts. So if you give him the extra starts to be ready to be at his best, or whatever his best could potentially be with the limited amount of starts that he has had this season, now you're thinking divisional series, which means you got to think about how do you get through the wild card series on the road in Chicago, unless you can catch the Dodgers, who apparently don't want to win the division. I've said this for the last 2 months. They don't want to win the division. They're not playing like it. I don't know what their deal is, but they have been awful for the last couple of months. So if you could get to that point, great. Now, let's talk about it for a second. If you're not going to use Michael King in the wild card series, which this is all like thinking outside the box to try to find solutions. We already know what the Padres are going to do. They're going to go King, Pivetta, Cease, and they're just be like, these are our guys. This is what we're going to do. These are the guys who got us here. That's just what they're going to do. So this is just going to be all a waste of time. But it's fun to talk about. We can pretend like we know what we're doing over here. So let's say you don't use Michael King in the wild card series. I wouldn't have him on the roster. Whatever starting pitching out of the 4 guys, Darvish, Cease, King, Pivetta, whatever one of those guys is not getting a start, I wouldn't put him on the roster. I'd rather have Bradley Rodriguez. I'd rather have an extra bullpen piece. I'd keep Randy Vasquez on the roster, maybe as a long relief guy. I mean, there's other areas that I would like to address instead of keeping a guy that's not going to pitch. I mean, you're just wasting a roster spot. So let's go with the situation of Michael King is not starting in a wild card series. he's going to start in the divisional series because he needed to start against Arizona to get an extra rep in. It's not a bad play. Like, if he starts to get a little bit better and he makes a good start against Arizona the last weekend of the season and he gets set up for game one, Michael King game one of a divisional series to me is a lot better. If you have to go 3 games in the wild card, is better than starting Cease or Vasquez game one of a divisional series on the road in either Philadelphia or Milwaukee. So let's go with that situation first. What do you do? Morning Show talked about this. I think it's an interesting topic of discussion. Do you go bullpen day and then Nick Pivetta? Or do you do Nick Pivetta and then a bullpen day? I think you would have to, and I agree with Ben, you have to do a bullpen day in the wild card. Because think about all those situations we've seen in the past. We brought up the Zach Britton situation, where the Orioles had him waiting in the bullpen, and he never came in to pitch, and they lost, and the season was over. He was their best guy. We talked about with the Braves, with Craig Kimbrell. When Craig Kimbrell was just sitting in the bullpen, puts his hands in the air when Uribe beats him in the postseason, and he was never used. We could even talk about the fact that the Padres didn't use Josh Hader in the 2022 NLCS. I mean, these are all situations in which the team's best asset was their bullpen, and their best bullpen arm was not used. So can you justify playing in a wild card series and not using your bullpen, which is the biggest asset you have on this team? I don't think you could justify that. So I think one of the first 2 games has to be a bullpen day. Now, here's how I think it would set up better. I think game 1 needs to be the bullpen day. I think you can win game 1 of a series with a bullpen day, with your lights out bullpen and everything like that. I think you could even start with a Wandy Peralta. You could do the Wandy Peralta, Randy Vasquez, get to the bullpen, first sign of trouble for anybody, get him out. You can win games doing that. You can win individual games doing that. I like that game 1 over game 2. And here's why. Because 1, I think you can win. 2, okay? If game 1 goes poorly, you got Nick Pivetta that you can rely on in game 2 to get you a win. I think you can trust that. If game 1 and game 2 go poorly, your 0-2 barbecue, you failed anyway, you're going to be out of the playoffs. It doesn't, there's not really much more you can do on that. Now, here's why I like the bullpen day 1. Because if you go bullpen day game 1 and you win, okay, you're not going to have your bullpen for game 2, but you have Nick Pivetta. Nick Pivetta, worst case scenario in game 2, right? You already won game 1. Worst case scenario, game 2, Pivetta gets shelled. Okay, that's worst case, correct? Nothing else worse than that. Pivetta's just going to have to wear it. And you punt on game 2. Or Pivetta has a great outing. You used whatever's left in your bullpen. You get the win, and you get the 2 wins in. You get an extra day off. Move on. Best case and worst case scenario, Nick Pivetta in game 2 works really well, in my opinion. Then you get to game 3. So let's say you win game 1 with the bullpen. You lose game 2, but Pivetta eats up most of the game, gets you 6 or 7 innings. And then you use like Yuki Matsui and some of the bullpen arms that you don't really, aren't high leverage guys. You give everybody that pitched game 1 a day off in game 2. Now you have full bullpen again for game 3. And so you've used your bullpen now. Now it's like, this is our best asset in a winner take home game. That's why I like bullpen day game 1, Pivetta game 2, and then you can go back to a bullpen on game 3. That's if you want to think outside the box because you don't trust Yu Darvish, because you don't trust Dylan Cease, because you don't trust Michael King, which everybody has said. And then guess what? Those guys are ready to go for the divisional series. Now, that being said, I don't know if you can give those guys that many days off with rest. But at the same time, if they had gotten a bye in the first round, those guys would be getting that entire week off anyway. So that's how I would do it if you don't want to use Michael King. If you don't want to use Dylan Cease. If you don't want to use Yu Darvish. To me, that is a way to win the wild card series against Chicago, or win a wild card series at home if you magically catch the Dodgers. And you know what? They're still keeping you around. 833-288-0973. 833-288-0973. Talked about the pitching. Let's talk about the offense when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. Second hour of the Braden Surprenant show. We got to get into that daily newsletter there then.
Sounds like it.
Look at it yet, but Kevin Acey making it sound like the Padres are done. Might as well stop watching them. Wow. Listen to this. I'm going to talk about we got to talk about the lineup. Pitching killed the Padres last night, but the lineup is just smashing your head against the wall every single day. I just don't know what they're doing. Okay, this is from Kevin Acey's daily newsletter, which is free. You can go access this. Good morning from New York. No, we're going to go black screen every 5 seconds now. This flipping computer drives me nuts. Oh, brand new computer. It's great. Screen shuts off every 3 seconds. For all the potential drama in the final 2 weeks of the season, there probably isn't much left to decide for the Padres, at least not in terms of where they're going to begin the postseason. The Padres will almost certainly open the playoffs against the Cubs at Wrigley Field, and at this rate, it will be the only place they are participating in playoff games. Kevin Acey says the Padres are going to Chicago, and they ain't winning. Am I interpreting that wrong? Am I putting words in his mouth?
No,
that's what it sounds like.
Yeah, that's pretty much what he said without saying it.
That's what he said. Sure, they could be playing better by October. Baseball's a cruelly and wonderfully unpredictable game. Black screen.
You want to leave it up to Captain English R. Hard to read this, or
No, I don't. Every time I scroll, it just flips it. It just goes dark. So I can't get through the article without it just going blank screen, blank screen, blank screen. Ever since they installed the new computer, as soon as I move the mouse on certain websites, blank screen.
JR, we have a loose connection somewhere.
Yeah, I guess. They'll say it's like our fault or something. Whatever. All right. Sure, they could be playing better by October, blah, 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 blah. Okay. It has been digested week to week or even series to series, and there is no greater gulf, perhaps, than the 2 days between the end of the regular season and the start of the postseason. History is rife with examples of World Series champions who looked for a time late, blank screen, in the regular season as if they would be one and done in the playoffs or might not even make it that far. Maybe the 2025 Padres will be the next of those, but the evidence lately is disconcerting. Talks about his game story. Yeah, I can't. It's hard to work.
Again, the Padres can pull out of this. They can do it in a big way. They've done it before. They have won 5 straight against the Dodgers and Giants and 5 straight games against the Giants and Red Sox last month. They went 19-7 from July 26th all the way through to August 23rd. They should they find the groove they are capable of, this stretch will be forgotten. Regardless, they seem destined to earn the National League's number 5 seed and open the postseason with its best-of-3 series against the 4-seeded Chicago Cubbies at Wrigley Field. To get past the Cubs is even more unlikely. If the Cubs win 6 of their remaining 11 games, the Padres would need to go 11-0 to have a chance of earning the 4 seed and a home field playoff series that comes with it. For the Padres, to be passed by the Mets is equally unlikely. Even if the Mets win the next 2 nights, the Padres will likely hold the tiebreaker unless the Mets sweep their remaining 6 NL East games against the Marlins and Nationals, and the Padres are swept at the end of the season by the Arizona Diamondbacks. If we assume the Padres earn the tiebreaker, here is what it would take for the Mets to finish ahead of the Padres. If the Padres go 6-5, the Mets will need to go 11-0. Obviously, it is even more difficult for one of the teams on the outside of the outside looking in at the playoffs to catch the Padres. With last night's results, the earliest the Padres can clinch a playoff spot is Saturday night. For that
to happen,
yeah.
Yada 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 yada, and then he goes on to all this other stuff with a Bogarts update. Jackson Merrill in his last handful of games, Nestor Cortez is on call, I guess. We'll see about that. Joe Musgrove's being recognized for the
Roberto
Clemente Awards and other tidbits. We'll talk more about that later on. Okay. Might have just got a little bit of the hook there early, like they're not going to win in the playoffs. Whatever. I'm not really worried about that. We talked about the pitching side, and in some of our takeaways from last night's game, one that is highlighted that you even put in red ink on the rundown, lineup needs to change. Last night, Michael King set the game back by giving up the amount of runs that he gave. Five runs in the first inning. I mean, 3 innings, 8 runs, 10 hits, 2 strikeouts. Wasn't fooling anybody. He got ambushed last night. But it was early in the contest. You would hope the offense would help you out. It's kind of hard to do when you just give up a 5 spot to just lock in and go after it. But when talking about the lineup, and here's the thing, like somebody said in the YouTube chat about like our idea, Koji said it there, good idea on bullpen day 1, but will Schilt do it? We all know the answer to this question. No, he ain't going to do that. We already know what the answer is going to be for all these things. I mean, we can talk about it. We can talk about different solutions for the Padres, but they're just going to do the same thing over and over and over again.
No.
Just over and over and over again. I mean, I don't know how you look at last night's lineup and be like, this is the best way for us to score as many runs as possible. I just don't get it. The results are continuing to just pile on top of each other. And you keep rolling out the same lineup every single day. And we're not asking, and again, like Jake Cronenworth has done a good job where he is at. I don't want to move him. Leave him down there at the bottom. I think it lengthens the lineup. But like guys like Jackson Merrill, he's starting to get hot again. Get him to number 2. Get O'Hearn up to number 2. I know O'Hearn has been good in the last couple of weeks, but he does better OPS-wise. Ramon Laureano's in a little bit of a slump. I'd rather see him bat too. I don't get the top of the order. I don't get why they haven't just tried changing things a couple of times just to mix it up. But it's just like slamming your head against the wall every single day, seeing the same lineup get rolled out there and seeing the Padres offense continue to just scuffle and scuffle over and over and over and over and over again. And you're getting Fernando to start heating up. I guess, he didn't have that great of a day yesterday. Manny was starting to figure it out a little bit. I can't really judge the offense too much yesterday because when you are out there in the field and the other team puts up a 5 spot, it's the first inning. It's like, all right, here we go. It just changes the mindset of everything. But again, with the lineup, it's just I don't get what they're trying to accomplish. I just don't get what they're trying to accomplish. Frank, you put that in red ink. I mean, you obviously have an opinion on the lineup as well, but I'm kind of tired of talking about it because nothing's going to change.
No, it's
And
not.
we're just going to sit here and watch the same team over and over again and hope something magical happens.
And again, that's the most frustrating part is that I said it last week, watching this team insist on playing below its capabilities, insist on underperforming. That is exactly what you're doing by putting this same exact lineup out every single day. Yeah, Arise has 2-3 hit nights, but it doesn't matter if nobody's on. That is where he is most dangerous, is when people are on base. Talked about that yesterday. And he swings at everything. He doesn't give Fernando a chance to move into scoring position, fouling away pitches that Fernando's stealing on. It's not good. Yesterday, without Xander Bogaerts, yesterday was the perfect defensive lineup. Just the offensive lineup was a complete shambles. Jackson Merrill should be in the number 2. O'Hearn, for his struggles that he has definitely been through recently, should not be batting in the number 8 spot. He should be in the number 7 spot. He should be in the number 4. Move Sheets down to 6. Leave Laureano at 5. Get some protection for Manny with O'Hearn hitting behind him. You need to move this lineup around. Putting the same exact thing out there every single night and getting the same result every single night is making it more and more and more and more frustrating, which means that, and we're not endorsing this, but if you guys somehow miraculously don't make the playoffs or get knocked out in 2 games in Chicago, and this is the same lineup we've seen all the way through, that little smattering of fans that may have been screaming for Mike Schultz's job is going to be so much louder because he did nothing to change and get this team righted.
Yeah, I just with the thing with the Rise. How many times does a Rise have a team at bat? Like a team at bat, like working a count and getting on first, or getting a sacrifice. I mean, the sacrifice flies he gets because he just like throws his bat at pitches outside and hits this weak fly ball to left field, which I'm tired of watching. But the idea and the concept, and Johnny puts it, how is a Rise supposed to have someone on base if Tatis constantly swings at 2 pitches and gets out rather than work the count and get on base as a leadoff? It doesn't matter.
Down in the lineup.
You move him down in the lineup. And we're not saying one guy on base. We're saying multiple. Even if Fernando gets on every single time as the leadoff man, it's still just one guy on base for a Rise. He does damage with multiple guys on base because it puts the ball, he creates action. There's value to Luis Arraez. It's not in the 2 spot. And it's definitely not in the leadoff spot as much as a lot of people want to see him bat leadoff. He doesn't work counts. Fernando doesn't work too many counts, but at least when Fernando's up there swinging, he could lose one at any time. And when he gets on base, he is a threat to steal bases. It's a different dynamic. It's a different style. He brings more intangibles than Luis Arraez does. And again, Arraez, like, look at all these pitches I can swing at. Great. He's never really doing any damage with any of those. And so you get to a point where it's just frustrating to watch. You're 1, 2, 3 in the order. I mean, the Mets, as Nate Taylor pointed out, had a 7-pitch first inning. Why make it easy for him? Those are your top 3 guys in the order. I want to see the top. I want to see the 3 best guys on this team in the top 3 spots. But they're never going to change it. It's never going to be changed, and we're just going to sit here and watch this every single day, and go like, I wonder why the pot. You know what? I guess this is just who we are. I feel like it's just I don't know. I digress. I'm tired of talking about this. It's just the same. It's the same thing every single day. They're just going to turn it around. They're just going to turn it around. I mean, like where on offense? Like where are they going to turn it around? Bottom of the order does well, I guess. There's that.
And we made the point yesterday of why would you put, if you're going to have a row of lefties, why would you put it at the bottom of the order where you're more apt to face Sean Manaea and get those lefty-lefty matchups that you're unable to avoid? When did Sean Manaea come in last night?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Came in the 5th inning against O'Hearn and Cronenworth, right in the middle of that lefty lane, which is exactly when he thought he was going to come in.
Right. When they did their piggyback thing yesterday that everybody knew they were going to do. It's head scratching. The answers you get are very like condescending a lot of times, and so it's like, and you wonder why. Like, this is why people complain about the media and like they don't ask any hard questions. It just falls on deaf ears. So this is what they're gonna do, and hopefully it works out for them. But again, as much as we want to say they got to change the lineup and they got to do this and this, they're just continuing to do the same thing and hoping for the best. I think the frustrating thing, especially for the Padres, at least their fan base, is the fact that the Dodgers are just handing them the division. Just handing it to them. And they haven't taken advantage of it. For 3 weeks now, they have just been handing them the division. And they haven't been able to just take it over. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Talk about some of the clinching scenarios in baseball coming up. We'll let you know about Michael King, too. I mean, we talked a little bit about that, but his start definitely raises more questions than gives you answers. Braden Surprenant Show rolls on. $11:20 on the Braden Surprenant Show. Can't count on much, but you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. Stream your local NFL game live every Sunday all season long, starting at just $30 for your first year. That's like $250 a month. Visit ParamountPlus.com/NFL to get started today. Speaking of NFL and college football, this is like our Thursday show because we're off tomorrow. We have Padres baseball tomorrow early in the morning. In fact, it preempts Bennett Woods. So we will be doing our picks with Skylar without Skylar today. Skylar's in Hawaii. That's kind of cool. I can just go to Hawaii for like 4 days. We texted her last night because Frank's like, oh, did you get a hold of Skylar and Eddie? So Eddie Brown's going to come on at 1:35. Again, doing our Thursday show today on a Wednesday since we have no Thursday show tomorrow. To get the college football picks in, get everything you need to know with fantasy football with Eddie Brown. And I'm like, yeah, Eddie said he's in. And Skylar was like, texted me back, I'm flying to Hawaii right now. I'm sorry? What? Okay, fine.
Oops.
She said, I thought we were going to be off this week. Well, the show was off, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to get our pick. What are we just going to skip on this great week of college football? Got a lot of great games for college football. It's like, I got all my 10 picks on there, but I might change one because I just saw another game that looks good. I try to spread the love and throw some group of 5 schools in there. But there's so many great games this weekend in college football. I can't wait. It's going to be fun. I don't have work obligations. I'm going to go to the San Diego State Cal game on Saturday night. A lot of great games before the Saturday night game. So Cal plays at San Diego State on Saturday at 7:30. That window's like the worst window of the games. So you're missing Nicholls State versus Texas State. Don't care.
Oh, no.
Louisiana Monroe UTEP at 6 o'clock on ESPN Plus. Don't care. UTSA at Colorado State. Not a bad game. Still would rather watch San Diego State Cal. Wyoming at Colorado. Don't care. Fresno State at Hawaii is the Hawaii Challenge this week. That game kicks off at 9 o'clock Pacific time. 8:59.
Go Rainbow Warriors.
Always. Fresno State's favored by 2.5 in that one.
Go Rainbow Warriors.
Michigan State, USC. I don't really care about that game either. Doesn't really move me too much. Does it move you? Michigan State at USC?
What did I see yesterday?
Spartans and Trojans. Oh, my.
I saw that yesterday. Somebody said, okay, guys, we have like 3 days to build a Trojan horse trophy for this game. Get on it.
Yeah, why haven't they done that yet?
That's perfect.
I mean, the Big Ten already has rivalry games for every single conference game. Except for Penn State, because they're unrivaled. But aside from Penn State, and I think they probably have they have the land-grant trophy, too.
We have rivals. Temple is considered a rival.
No, you don't.
Listen,
It's not a rival.
Listen,
There's
NCAA,
signs.
NCAA 26
Don't listen
does
to that.
consider
What kind
it
of
a
Penn State
rivalry
fan are
game.
you right now?
It considers it a
Unrivaled.
rivalry
They
game.
have unrivaled everywhere over their stadium and all that. They're unrivaled. Penn State is unrivaled. Temple's not a rival. Neither is Pitt. They're unrivaled. There's nobody in the Big Ten that's Penn State's rival. Penn State is unrivaled. Unrivaled. They do have the land grant trophy. Take that for what it's worth.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, the Big Ten has rivalry trophies for every single conference matchup. It's crazy how many trophies they have. It's honestly ridiculous. I'm going to have to look up the Big Ten rivalries. They can't have rivalry week. You want to know why? Because there's too many of them.
See, now, if USC was cool and actually knew how to spend their money properly, they would come out in this game in a Trojan horse.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23. There are 23 in-conference rivalry games according to the Big Ten. I'm going to get corporate Big Ten Frank on this real quick. Illinois, Indiana. They don't play for a trophy, but they have a rivalry. By the way, that game's this weekend. Illinois, Iowa is a rivalry. They've played 7. Just because it's conference games doesn't mean they're rivalries, but apparently in the Big Ten it is. Illinois Northwestern, the Land of Lincoln Trophy.
There you go.
Here's a fun game. Guess the name of the trophy for these rivalries. Illinois, Ohio State. Come on, NCAA 26. What is that called?
Illinois, Ohio State.
Yes, they have a trophy. They played 103 times. Haven't played each other since 2017, but they got a trophy. You know what it's called?
The hour-and-a-half drive on Highway 40.
It's the Illabuck, man. Come on, the Illabuck.
My bad.
I think it's a little turtle, if I'm not mistaken. Maybe I'm not. The Illabuck. Illinois, Purdue. Makes sense, I guess.
Illinois makes sense as well. It's the Illinois Trophy.
The Illinois, Purdue. Do you know what the trophy's called?
The Boiler Illini.
Purdue Cannon. Purdue Cannon is what it's called.
But Purdue's not the only team.
Hey, man, I didn't make these.
Okay.
That game started in 1890. Do you think they were like paying attention to it? Maybe Illinois stole the Purdue Cannon after they won. I don't know.
That's actually how a war started in Italy.
I'm sure it did.
Someone stole a bucket.
Indiana, Michigan State. What do they play for?
Is it Indiana, Michigan State?
Yeah. By the way, we have listed like 15 rivalries for Indiana already in the Big Ten.
The Hoosier Sword.
Old Brass Spittoon is what they play for. Indiana, Michigan State plays for the Old Brass Spittoon. They haven't played since 2022. They've had 69 matchups. Nice. Indiana, Purdue. You got to know this one.
Why do I got to know
You're the Big Ten guy. You don't know all their trophies they have?
No, I'm sorry.
They get better. The Old Oaken Bucket. Indiana, Purdue. The Old Oaken Bucket. They haven't played since 2022. Iowa, Minnesota. You know what they play for? The Floyd of Rosedale. I'm telling you, this is stupid. They got too many rivalries. Iowa, Nebraska. They play for what?
The last year of corn.
Heroes Trophy. Iowa, Wisconsin.
Same thing.
Iowa, Wisconsin. These are all of Iowa's in-conference rivals. They still play for the Cyhawk Trophy against Iowa State. Iowa, Wisconsin. They play for the Heartland Trophy. Another matchup that hasn't happened since 2022.
Okay.
Penn State's unrivaled. They think Maryland, Penn State's a rivalry. Do you know what Penn State's record is against Maryland? It's insane.
It's like 70-20.
Yeah, it's crazy. Pull up while I'm reading you off the other. Pull up Winsipedia, Penn State, Maryland. You'll just start laughing at the amount of times Maryland is not even come close to beating Penn State, but apparently it's a rivalry. They play for the land grant trophy, Michigan State, Penn State. They're two land grant schools. That's like a forced thing. Just like UConn had that fake rivalry with UCF and they left a trophy on the side of the field. It's crazy. Michigan State. What do they play for?
I don't know.
Paul Bunyan Trophy. Michigan. Where's Jake Waters when we need him? Michigan, Minnesota. They play for what? The Little Brown Jug.
Well, now I know what Friday's trivia questions isn't going to be.
Give it a week and people will forget.
Give it a week.
Michigan Northwestern.
I'll probably give it an hour.
Michigan Northwestern is a rivalry. They haven't played each other since 2021. Michigan Northwestern plays for a trophy. It's called the George Jewett Trophy. I have never heard of that in my life. When you see Michigan play Northwestern on a Saturday, you say like, oh, can't wait for this rivalry game. The Big Ten, I'm telling you, has way too many rivalries. Minnesota, Nebraska. They play for the $5 bits of a broken chair trophy. $5 bits of broken chair trophies. That is a real thing. $5 bits of broken chair trophy. Minnesota, Nebraska. Michigan, Ohio State's called the game. They don't have a trophy because, that makes sense. Everybody else has random trophies for these random games. The biggest rivalry in the Big Ten, one of the biggest rivalries in all of college football, they're just called the game. They don't have a trophy. Crazy to me. Minnesota, Penn State's got a trophy. It's called the Governor's Victory Bell. Because you want to know why? When I see Penn State play at the Golden Gophers, I'm like, I can't wait for this big rivalry game. Why is Penn State and Minnesota rivals?
Because they're the Golden Gophers.
Governor's Victory Bell. Victory Bell. They started playing. You know what year they first started playing Minnesota and Penn State? Their first ever matchup. Do you want to guess the year?
Nittany Lions eat Golden Gophers.
They're unrivaled. Minnesota, Penn State, first game ever. Do you want to tell me the year?
1907.
1993. First time they ever played. They have a trophy for their game. They've played each other 17 times since 1993. You've seen that with non-conference, just regular games. Minnesota, Wisconsin. They play for Paul Bunyan's axe, but they have now replaced it with the slab of bacon trophy. That's also stupid. Nebraska, Wisconsin plays for the Freedom Trophy.
I just want to say, as much as we do love bacon here in the corporate offices of the Big Ten, we did not approve that change. We did not approve that change.
Ohio State, Penn State, unrivaled, no trophy. Oregon, Washington, rivalry, no trophy. UCLA, USC, Victory Bell.
Those are Power Act 12 rivalries, though. Those aren't Big Ten rivalries.
They count as this. Then they have other rivalries too. I'm only going to give you the ones that are trophies. Colorado, Nebraska, Bison Head Trophy. Quote, it has been lost. So they don't even know where it is.
It has been lost.
What about the Crab Bowl Classic? You ever heard about the Crab Bowl Classic, Frank?
What is that, between Maine and New Hampshire?
Maryland and Navy.
Oh, for God's sake.
They play for the Crab Bowl. Indiana, Kentucky, Bourbon Barrel Trophy. We know Iowa, Iowa State, the Cy-Hawk Trophy, easy. Mm-hmm. Michigan State, Notre Dame, what do they play for?
I don't know.
Michigan State, Notre Dame plays for the Megaphone Trophy. Missouri, Nebraska, another Victory Bell. Northwestern, Notre Dame, they play for a shillelagh. They lost it.
Oh, for God's sake.
Notre Dame, Purdue.
Lose these.
This is, I'm telling you right now, somebody in the chat finally got it. This sounds like real or fake. These are all real. Notre Dame, Purdue, shillelagh trophy. There's a lot of shillelaghs out there because I'm pretty sure USC and Notre Dame have a shillelagh. Yeah, they get the jeweled shillelagh. Notre Dame, how many shillelaghs do you have? By the way, maybe the one that they had with Northwestern, maybe they just turned into the rivalry with USC. Maybe that's why it's lost. Oregon State, what do they play for? That's the best one. It used to be called the Civil War. They changed it. You know what they play for?
It's the Buc-ee's trophy now. It's their beaver.
Platypus. It's the Platypus trophy.
That makes sense. Okay. I'll give it.
For some reason, Oregon and St. Mary's have a rivalry. I don't even think St. Mary's has football anymore. The last time they played was 1950. They played 10 times, and they had the Governor's Perpetual Trophy. Last one for you is actually this weekend, Washington State. They played the Apple Cup.
Not as perpetual anymore.
Not as perpetual when it's only been 10 times. So
it hasn't happened in the last 75 years.
A lot of awesome games this weekend in college football. A lot of them are fake rivalries with dumb trophies. Crazy. Jake Waters is driving across Texas for the next 2.5 hours. I'm sure he enjoyed thoroughly the trophy, the platypus trophy. Out of all of them, $5 bits of broken chair trophy is hilarious to me for Minnesota, Nebraska. That's great. Paul Bunyan's axe, which they got rid of or they lost, I don't know, and they turned it into bacon. But the the platypus trophy, that's also this weekend. Oregon State's this weekend for the platypus trophy. You had Indiana and Illinois. They're not playing for a trophy, but that's a rivalry. And then there was a couple other ones that I think they're happening this weekend. $5 bits of broken chair trophy. Crazy.
How is it, by the way, somebody in the NCAA marketing department get on this? How do we not have a Buc-ee's Bowl in Texas yet? Like, how is the Buc-ee's Bowl not a bowl game?
Buc-ee's, yeah, they should sponsor one of the ones in Frisco or something like that.
The Buc-ee's Bowl, like, come on. How easy is that?
You got to get Buc-ee's to pay for it, dude.
That would overtake the Pop-Tart Bowl.
The Buc-ee's Bowl?
The Buc-ee's Bowl would be more entertaining than the Pop-Tart Bowl.
The Buc-ee's Holiday Bowl.
The Buc-ee's Holiday Bowl.
That would never work out here.
Plus, they got
the DirecTV. They got the DirecTV sponsorship. It's great. All right, enough on that. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Talk about some clinching scenarios for Major League Baseball. Plus, we'll get to the sports thread as we got a lot of things in Major League Baseball, college football, and more on the Braden Surprenant Show. This hour, 97 through the fans, brought to you by the Adams Avenue Street Fair, September 20th and 21st. Sedigo Foundation presents the Adams Avenue Street Fair on the 20th and 21st, which is Saturday, right? Saturday and Sunday. The free family-friendly festival in Normal Heights features 75 musical acts, carnival rides, beer gardens, festival foods, and 300 unique exhibitors. So, not a bad place to go check out before you head on down to the Aztec game on Saturday. We're going to talk more about the Aztecs and what they're doing to get people to go to their games coming up at noon. I mean, they're like giving away free tickets to games right now. In fact, I just grabbed 2 as a season ticket holder. My dad's a season ticket holder. I'm just like, grab 2 of the tickets. I got friends that want to go to the game. You can get free tickets right now to Aztec football. They're trying to pack the place against Cal. We'll talk about that in the noon hour. I missed this. Nate, Beaver Nuggets Bowl. That's a great idea. I'm telling you, like some of the branding on these bowl games are great. Like I crave Pop-Tarts every time I see the Pop-Tarts Bowl. Crave them. Let's get back to Padres baseball and really the playoff clinching scenarios in baseball. I don't know how many of these have changed since yesterday, but Brewers have clinched the first to clinch the postseason. Still battling the Cubs for the NL Central, technically. Their lead is 5 games. Phillies first to clinch the division in the National League East after a dramatic 6-5 win over the Dodgers in extras. Phillies and Brewers are still battling for the number 1 seed in the National League. Brewers have a 1.5 game lead on Philadelphia for that number 1 seed. That changes some things a little bit in terms of the Padres in the division. If they win the division, all of a sudden, they might be playing Milwaukee in the second round instead of Philly. That's interesting to see. Again, Philly does not have the tiebreaker over Milwaukee. On the brink of clinching, Tigers, Yankees, Blue Jays, Dodgers, Cubs, Padres are all within days of locking in. According to Kevin Acee, the earliest the Padres can clinch a playoff spot based on results would be Saturday, assuming they could do some damage here against the Mets. Decent amount of bubble teams clinging on to life. The Mets have a 1.5 lead, or at least they did. I don't know. Yeah, they still do. 1.5 lead for the NL's final wild card. Collapsed recently, but still hanging on. Diamondbacks crushed the Giants the other night. They've now won 4 straight, and they've gained even more ground as they're 1.5 games back. Giants and Reds, both 2 games back, now 3 games back after losses last night. Reds bounced back versus the Cardinals after a rough weekend, but then lost last night. They're both 3 games out. Rangers and Guardians in the American League. Rangers are now 3.5 games back after losing to the Astros last night. Guardians 2.5 back. Rangers are trying to catch the Astros as a wild card team. Boston Red Sox are right there at the bottom half, or the bottom team as a wild card. If the playoffs started today, which they don't, you would be looking at wild card rounds of the Seattle Mariners hosting the Boston Red Sox, especially after the Red Sox lost and the Astros won.
Bless you.
Thank you. You would see the Yankees hosting the Astros in the American League. Winner of Mariners and Red Sox would go on to take on the Blue Jays. Or correction, they would take on the Tigers, and the winner of the Yankees and the Astros would take on the Blue Jays. Now, as for the National League, top 2 seeds, Brewers number 1, Phillies number 2. Dodgers, as of right now, would be hosting the Mets in the first round of the playoffs in the 3-6 matchup. The Cubs would be hosting the Padres in the 4-5. Winner of Cubs and Padres would go on to take on the Brewers right now. Winner of Mets and Dodgers would go on to take on the Phillies. And that's kind of a look. Now, in terms of key series this week, we talked about it before. Rangers and Astros Tuesday through Wednesday. Houston took the opener of this game. Seattle is still looming. Mariners at Astros. Friday through Sunday over the weekend. AL West could be decided this weekend with those 2 teams being right behind each other. Phillies and Dodgers this week. October preview. Ohtani pitched last night. Dodgers still lost. And the Guardians at Tigers are this week as well. Division on the line. 6 head-to-head games left. That's what's interesting about the American League Central. As much as everybody wants to just rule out the Guardians are 5.5 games back and they've won 5 straight to beat the Tigers last night, and they still have 5 more games against the Tigers. That has made the the AL Central division a little bit more crazy. It'll be fun to watch. What else is going on in sports? Let's get to today's sports thread.
You know that group chat? The one that's always blowing up with the biggest sports takes, debates, and breaking news?
You got barbecue back there, and you didn't invite me?
Yeah, we've got that too. Welcome to the Sports Thread, where we break down the top 5 stories in sports, just like you would with your crew.
Oh, no! Disaster! What a bad idea!
No filters, no silence, just real talk.
All right, Frank, what do we got today on the sports thread?
Let's start off with a fun story. Let's start off with coaches being stupid and getting themselves suspended. How about that?
Number 1.
That's always fun.
Florida assistant head football coach and running backs coach Jabbar Jalouki. Sorry if I got that wrong.
Gesundheit.
Was suspended for 3 games for his involvement in an altercation before the Gators game at LSU on Saturday. The SEC and Florida jointly announced on Thursday. Jabbar's conduct during the pregame altercation reflects behavior that is unacceptable and not aligned with the standards of the Southeast Conference. Jabbar will miss Florida's next 3 games at number 4 Miami, at home against number 8 Texas, and then at number 10 Texas A&M. Apparently, there was a scuffle. There was video of a scuffle that happened before the game, and looked like he was right in the middle of it, antagonizing it, which is,
Not great.
exactly what you want to see out of a college football coach getting into a fight with a bunch of college kids.
Yeah, you know what you should never do? You should never, as a coach, you should never, especially a grown-ass man, not be talking to college kids, and don't do it to high school kids either. Don't start a fight with a high school kid. Don't start a fight with a college kid. You're not playing, dude. Like, just relax. Go, if your guys are talking smack and it's getting out of hand, go in there, get the kids out of there. But you can't be arguing with children, even though they're college kids and they're like legal adults now. It's a bad look. Arguing with players is a bad look. Should be suspended for that.
Overall, if you're an adult, just don't argue with a kid. How about that one?
Number 2.
Probably a good call.
Cal Raleigh broke a record held by Mickey Mantle on Tuesday while matching another one held by Ken Griffey Jr. The Seattle Mariners catcher hit his 55th home run of the season in the second inning against the Kansas City Royals last night, sending him past Mickey Mantle's mark for a switch hitter that had stood since 1961. Then Raleigh hit number 56 the next inning, matching the Seattle Mariners club record established by Ken Griffey Jr. in 1997, and then matched the following year. Making the 2-homer night even more impressive, Raleigh took a pitch from Mariner starter Logan Gilbert that bounced off the plate and hit him in the neck under his mask. He has to be, I know we discussed this, I believe it was yesterday, he has to be the runaway American League MVP. He has to be.
Cal Raleigh?
Yes.
I think what he's doing is more impressive than what Aaron Judge does. We talked about, was this yesterday? We
Yeah,
talked
it
about
was-
this yesterday or 2 days ago?
Yeah, but again, I mean,
He hits more home runs. He's bad. He's a switch hitter. He has limited time to hit because he's catching games. I mean, a catcher hitting that many home runs and being the impact that he has had on the Mariners, who are now leading the division, the American League West, there's no one better. There's not a better choice. I don't care how important Aaron Judge is.
and then
If you went blind resume and just had 2 random players, everybody would pick Cal Raleigh, but it's biased with these picks on everything.
absolutely.
Number 3.
The Chicago Bears exited week 2 with a major question about their defense, giving up 52 points to the Detroit Lions on Sunday. Lost in the 52-12 blowout that marked Chicago's 0-2 loss. Was the improvement from quarterback Caleb Williams. In his second game under coach Ben Johnson, Williams threw for 207 whole yards, had 2 touchdowns and a pick while completing an impressive 63.3% of his passes. The Bears have scored a touchdown on the offense's opening possession in back-to-back weeks, something that did not happen during Williams' rookie season. Are we really touting the fact that he threw for 207 yards?
Throwing for
as
200 yards?
improvement?
No, absolutely not. I don't think so. My favorite thing about Caleb Williams is the fact that when he first got picked up when he got drafted by Chicago, he told the punter that he's not going to punt anymore. And then that guy actually, since Caleb Williams has entered the NFL, has punted the most out of any punter in the National Football League.
92 times.
Yeah. I said it before the season started. They have time to go around, like improve. But Caleb Williams, with the weapons that he has now, and the team that they built around him, should be winning this year. Now, here's the thing. They got Dallas up. They got Dallas coming up. A lot of fantasy guys think, a lot of fantasy experts think, and we'll ask Eddie Brown about this at 135, that Caleb Williams is poised for a big day against Dallas's defense. I don't know if that's necessarily good enough to win because Dak Prescott and the Cowboys have done a really good job on offense this year. So it might be a shootout on Sunday between the Bears and the Cowboys. But Caleb Williams loses on Sunday, 0-3 to start the season for the Bears. They're in a massive hole, chasing the Packers, chasing the Lions, probably chasing Minnesota. And you could be ready to put. Looks like they're going to be drafting the top 10 again, Frank, unless they get a win on Sunday.
Dash dress. All right.
Number 4.
Philadelphia Eagles left tackle Jordan Mailata has had enough of the media narrative that his team won Sunday's Super Bowl rematch against the Kansas City Chiefs because of the tush push. In an interview with 94 WIP in Philadelphia on Tuesday, Mailata said that it is, quote, incredibly disrespectful to the impact the Eagles' defense and special teams had in the 20-17 victory. Said, quote, I understand the outrage. What I don't understand is them using it as an excuse as to why we won the game. I think it's incredibly disrespectful to our defense and special teams who balled out. And my brothers on defense and special teams who balled out in that game, who had our backs when we weren't moving the ball or weren't doing anything. It pisses me off because we give so much to this game, and to kind of base off a short yardage play that is a football play. I mean, fair stance for Mailata to take on the tush push, and it's criticism from Sunday.
I think the tush push. I think that play is illegal. First of all, I think it's a joke that they allow it. I think it's an unsafe play. I don't think it's the reason why the Eagles have won. I think a lot of dumb people probably use it as an excuse of why the Eagles won. No, the Eagles have won games because of their defense and their line. I mean, that's why they've won games. But here's the thing. Does he get upset about the fact, and here's the deal with the media and the NFL, it's all about the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks win all the games. Nobody else does anything. I get irritated over that. The Eagles have had one of the best offensive lines the 2 years they won the Super Bowl and a badass defense. That's why they're winning, not because Jalen Hurts. Everybody just wants to talk about the quarterback all the time. You need a good quarterback to win, but the teams that win Super Bowls can run the football and stop the run. That's what wins in the NFL. So, I mean, yeah, Chiefs complaining about fair play is also laughable. 2 hours in, 2 hours to go. Aztecs giving away free tickets. Interesting. Talk about it.
San Diego, it's time to fire it up. From the beaches to the ballparks, from the Gaslamp to North County, no one knows America's finest city like he
You
does.
can't just punt on a Manny Machado prime year.
He's a fourth-generation San Diegan, born and raised in the heart of this community. Passionate, opinionated, and always bringing you the real talk on your teams, your city, and everything in between.
Braden totally knows his stuff. He's ready for the next step. That guy is good.
Live and local, it's the Braden Surprenant Show.
But I think Braden's one of the up-and-coming young stars in the media game in San Diego.
Now, here's your host, Braden Surprenant.
This noon lunchtime hour is presented by The Craft Taco. Both flavors at 2 locations, Sereno Valley and inside Balboa Park's Natural History Museum. I'm Braden Surprenant. This is the Braden Surprenant Show. Live and local each and every day from 10 to 2 on San Diego's number one sports station, 97.3 The Fan. We'll be off tomorrow because we got Padres baseball during our time slot. And I've been compiling all these stats. It's really bothering me that the whole let's make something out of nothing stat of the Padres having a losing record on the road against teams that are currently in the playoffs. It's not a great record. They're 9-23. But I'm going back and I'm talking about, I'm going through everybody else in current Major League Baseball, as in 2025, in the National League, and what their record is against teams that are in the playoffs as of right now, all playing on the road. They're all losing records with the exception of Milwaukee, who's 14-11. And Milwaukee, since the trade deadline against the same situation, is 4-4. We talked about that in the first hour. Philadelphia is 10-16. Same situation. Milwaukee's 14-11. The Dodgers are 6-14. Chicago's 13-17. San Diego 9-23. And New York is 8-21. The biggest difference, of course, though, is San Diego has had to play 5 of the 6 teams in the American League playoffs as of right now on the road. They've had to do it more times. I go back to 2022, and I want to do 2023 and 2024 also, and maybe I'll have all these numbers for you on Friday. But I started to look at 2022, and the reason why I started to look at 2022 was the fact that the Padres and the Phillies were the National League Championship Series. The Padres and the Phillies were the 2 worst seeds in the National League playoffs. They were the 5 seed and the 6 seed, which means what, Frank? If you're the 5 seed and you're the 6 seed, what does that mean?
On the road for the wild card.
You're going to be on the road for the wild card. You're going to be the road team for the divisional series. You're going to be the road. I mean, aside from the Padres, who would be the home team in the championship series, the 5 and the 6 making it that far are teams that had to play on the road a lot. They had to win on the road against playoff teams. If you go back to 2022, I only did it for the bottom 4 teams in the National League that year in terms of the bottom 4 seeds. So that would be the 4 teams that played in the wild card. St. Louis, New York, San Diego, and Philadelphia. Not a single one of those teams had a winning record against other playoff teams on the road that season. Not one. St. Louis was 6-14 on the road against teams like Philadelphia, like Atlanta, like San Diego, like the Mets, Houston, New York, Seattle, Cleveland, Tampa, Toronto. Those are the teams that made the playoffs in 2022. Against those teams on the road, that season, St. Louis went 6-14. They were the home team. They were the 3 seed. They didn't have to play on the road. Didn't really matter. New York that year, they hosted the Padres. They went 14-19. 14-19 in that same situation. Again, a losing record. Let's talk about the teams that made it to the championship series, the Padres and the Phillies. The Padres that season also bad record against teams in the playoffs on the road. They went 10-16 that year. You know what they did? They went to New York and took 2 out of 3. They went to Dodger Stadium. They split, which they needed to do. And then they didn't get a win in Philadelphia in the championship series. But you know what? That team, as everybody seems like that, they were going to make it to the World Series. One of the great teams that the Padres have had. They were terrible on the road. Philadelphia. Okay, Philadelphia, who ended up going to the World Series that year, had the 6th seed. So they had to take 2 from St. Louis. They had to win games in Atlanta, and they had to win games in San Diego. And they did it. You know what they didn't do in the regular season? Do that. They were 12-19 against teams in the postseason. Teams ended up making the postseason on the road. They were 12-19. They got through it. So for everybody saying that like that is a stat that matters, it doesn't. It's an interesting stat to say. And the Padres are terrible right now against teams that are going to make the playoffs on the road, but it's not going to tell you anything. Because once the playoffs start, it starts brand new. There's nothing more you could talk about that. So again, we have all of these context-less stats that we like to throw out to show how bad the Padres are sometimes. With context, they're not good still. It's not defending what they have done on the road against playoff teams. But the reality is, everybody else is in the same boat. I said the same thing about the pitching staff. We look at things in a vacuum here in San Diego about the pitching starting staff is a problem and they can't beat anybody on the road. And what are we doing? Luis Arraez batting second. All these things. And we don't pay attention to everybody else in Major League Baseball, which is like good and bad, right? Sometimes you got to worry about yourself more than you got to worry about other people in baseball. Worry about other teams in baseball. I agree with that. I think the Padres need to find ways to improve themselves instead of watching what other teams are doing. I think that's fine. But I think as fans, you have to understand context of the situation. I think you have to understand the context of what everybody else is doing as well. How every other fan base views their team. I mean, what do you think Dodger fans are saying right now after watching Shohei Ohtani throw 5 innings of no-hit ball with like 65 pitches, and then they lose to the Phillies because their bullpen coughs it up again? We talk about Mike Schilt being stubborn with the batting order. Dave Roberts has been stubborn with the bullpen. I mean, Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates have been awful this year for Los Angeles. He keeps rolling them out there. They keep failing. Over and over and over again. That's the best team money can buy. At best, they're going to get the 3 seed in the National League playoffs. They're barely holding on to that. If the Padres weren't taking advantage of the Dodgers' failures, I mean, the Dodgers would be looking at the 5 seed trying to hold off the Mets for the 6 right now. But they're not, because the Padres haven't been able to take advantage of the gift that they have been given. Now, here's the deal. If the Padres win the next 2 games in New York, they win tonight and they win tomorrow morning at least out here on the West Coast, regardless of what happens in the Dodgers and Phillies game tonight, the Padres will be 1 game behind LA with 9 to go. That's it. If the Padres and the Dodgers both win their next 3 games. The Padres win their next 2 in the series. I'll say it this way. I'll make it make more sense. If the Padres win the remaining number of games in their series in New York, and the Dodgers win their last game against Philadelphia, the Padres will gain a game in the standings. It will be 1 game back. That's why we talk about when trying to catch ground, it's about series. Now, I didn't know that. Did we get a final on that Cubs game? I know you got sidetracked with soccer.
I was 6
It was
to
4-4.
It was 6 to 4
7-4 now, Cubs.
Okay. Yeah, 7-4, bottom 7.
So when we talked about it at the beginning of the week, we said the Cubs had to lose every 3-game series and then split the 4-game against Cincinnati. If the Cubs win today, they got the 4 seed. I mean, it's going to be almost impossible. They're going to need to get swept by Cincinnati in order for that to not be the case. And getting swept in 4 games, as we talked about before, is almost impossible. Or they got to get swept in another series against St. Louis, or I forget the last team that they're playing. It might be an American League team. I can't remember off the top of my head. But the Cubs have pretty much solidified the fact that they're going to be the 4 seed. So now the only thing really left in terms of seeding for the Padres is, can they catch the Dodgers in the next 9 games after the series against New York? If the Padres drop one of the next 2 games against the New York Mets, you can count the division over. I think. They have to win the next 2 games against New York. They have to. If they want to win the division. If they lose the next 2 games against the Mets, or they lose one of the next 2 games against the Mets, they lose the series, and the Dodgers lost the series, you count it as a wash. You're still 2 games back, and now you got 3 series left. The Dodgers have an extra game. So you'd have to go through it again, and the Dodgers have to lose every one of those series. They might have to get swept in one game, and you might have to sweep somebody, which is something you obviously don't want to do. Now, that's a worst-case scenario. They got to be able to beat the Mets the next 2 days. And it'd be nice to sweep the White Sox. It's not a guarantee, but it'd be nice to sweep the White Sox, and then you get a little bit more an advantage there. Because here's the thing. If the Padres take the next 2 against New York, they'd gain a game on the Dodgers, right, as we talked about, assuming the Dodgers beat the Phillies. And the Dodgers splitting with the Giants would be ideal for the Padres. If the Dodgers take 3 out of 4 from San Francisco this weekend, it's going to be a little bit shaky. But a sweep for the Padres would make things a little bit better, because now you can gain a game again on Los Angeles, and now that puts even more pressure on LA in their final 2 series against Arizona and Seattle, as the Padres take on the Brewers next week. It's going to be tough. And then the Diamondbacks. Taking the division does matter right now, even if they don't get the break, because it guarantees you a home playoff series. I would rather be home in the first round of the playoffs than on the road, and they're not going to be at home if they get the 4 seed, or the 5 seed, I should say, because they're not getting the 4. So now you're competing to get a home field. You're now competing for home playoff games here in San Diego, which is not a guarantee unless they take 2 out of 3 from Chicago in the first round of the playoffs. So yes, it is important. Taking the division now is more important. And if Philadelphia catches the Brewers, which is possible, and you can help Philadelphia do that by beating the Brewers next week, it makes it even more valuable, because now you would have the 3 seed. You'd be taking on the Mets in the first round of the playoffs, most likely, or the Giants or the Diamondbacks if they catch the Mets, which I don't think they will. You get them all 3 at home, and then you get to go to Milwaukee for the second round of the playoffs. That's really what you're looking for. That's really what you're voting for here. You don't have a path to the 4 seed anymore, in my opinion. Not if the Cubs win today against the Pirates, which they're up 7-4 in the bottom of the 7th inning. So yes, it's still important to take the division. Even though you're not going to get a break, home playoff games is very important, especially if we're going to talk about how important the record is for the Padres against teams that are going to be in the playoffs on the road. I mean, that's we want to talk about that 9-23 ad nauseum on social media. Okay, this prevents that. This is obviously a huge advantage if you believe that stat is glaring and important. So, still a lot to play for. The Dodgers losing last night and choking that game away has opened up the bag. If the Dodgers get swept this week, which would be awesome for the Padres, for 2 reasons. One, you want Philly to get the 1 seed if you're San Diego, because especially if you win the division. And then also, it sets you up where you could pick up 2 games. Pick up 2 games on them, if that's the case. Now you're tied going into the next couple of games. Going to the last 9 games in the season. It's right there. Again, it's right there for the taking. The Padres haven't been able to take advantage of that. You know what else is right there for the taking? Aztec tickets. We're not giving any away, but San Diego State is. Why are they giving away free tickets? We'll talk about it when we come back on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego's #1 sports station, 97 through the Fan. Tune into the Manager's Report with Mike Schilt this Friday at 9 in the morning on Ben and Woods. The Manager's Report is refreshed by EcoWater SoCal. Try alkaline water for just $9.95 a month. EcoWater SoCal, keeping it soft since 1925. All right. Aztec football. They got Cal on Saturday. Cal's good. Cal's no slouch. Cal's fair by 12.5. We're going to pick that game in the 1 o'clock hour. Game starts at 7:30 on CBS Sports Network. Here's a couple of things that happened last night that I thought was funny. I said some of it to Frank last night. But, Ben Higgins had a report for ABC News on San Diego State and just kind of giving away tickets for this weekend. Not only giving away tickets, but they're also having some deals on a flash sale right now. So Ben Higgins had this posted on abc10news.com. Our colleague Ben, who works his other job as the sports anchor at Channel 10. Headline, San Diego State uses free tickets to boost football attendance at Snapdragon Stadium. Graphic posted, Aztec season ticket sales at Snapdragon Stadium. 2022, 15,000. 2023, 10,000. 2024, 8,700. Continues to go down. Some of these things, like I saw it on Facebook, and that's where I came about. The comments were hilarious to me. This is why I bring up the shade conversation. Somebody was like, they have no shade there. I'm not going to the game on Saturday because it gets way too hot in San Diego for me to go to the game and not sit in the shade. Lady, the game is played at 7:30 at night. Just complaining about different things. The attendance push, as quoted on this channel10news.com. The attendance push comes after a disappointing home opener against Stony Brook on August 28th when Snapdragon Stadium was more than half empty. The annual Fan Fest earlier in the month was also lightly attended. Season ticket sales have been a major concern for the program. The ticket base declined from nearly 16,000 in Snapdragon's first season in 2022 to less than 9,000 last year. Lewis spent the bye week visiting students and community youth events to distribute tickets for Saturday's game. Free tickets are viewed as a temporary solution as San Diego State needs football revenue to pay back the close to $300 million borrowed to build Snapdragon Stadium. Quote, for a lot of people, it's their first time coming. That's going to be on us. The second time when they have a good experience, that's going to be on them. Lewis knows the best way to reverse the attendance trend is by winning games, but hopes the community outreach will help build a stronger fan base for the future. Couple other things that I saw, too, from last night when it comes to the Aztecs and getting people to go to their games and everything like that. I think I sent it to Frank, so I got to go pull it up again. No, I sent it to Frank and Adam. Let me pull it up. Here's the tweet. From Aztec Andy, I saw, at Sir Andy's. He tweets this out when talking about Cal. Okay, so College Football Kings on Twitter posted, Cal's 3-0 with 3 double-digit wins. They don't play Miami, Florida State, Clemson, or Georgia Tech, and they get SMU at home. Keep an eye on the Golden Bears for having a good season. And that particular account posted the ESPN schedule that they had coming up. Now, the ESPN schedule is linked with ticket websites that tells you tickets as low as, which is the lowest ticket you could get to get into the game. If you go through Cal's schedule, and this was pointed out by Aztec Andy, besides Stanford, San Diego State is the most expensive ticket on Cal's schedule. That's not a flex. It's an issue. 100%. Here's Cal's remaining schedule. At San Diego State, tickets as low as $67. They go to Boston College. That's a Power 4 game in Boston. Okay, at Boston College. It's not one of the better teams in college football. You could get into that game for as low as $24. Duke at home, up at Cal. They got Duke at home, $36 to get in. Again, the Aztec game, the lowest was $67. North Carolina, Bill Belichick and North Carolina. I know they lost their first game. They have since now bounced back. It's still a high-ticket item, right? Bill Belichick and the North Carolina Tar Heels are coming to California on Friday, October 17th. You can get into that game for $38. They go to Virginia Tech. I know Virginia Tech is 0-3. I know Virginia Tech is not off to a great start. That's one of the greatest college football environments in all of college football in Blacksburg, Virginia. You can get into that game for $30. Virginia comes to town for Cal. They can get into a game for $30. They go to Louisville. You can get into that game for $9. The only time, and this was mentioned by Aztec Andy, the only time a ticket is more expensive than this one this weekend on Cal's schedule is against Stanford. That's, a rivalry game. It's a big game. Tickets were as low as $94. Then they play SMU at home. SMU is a good football team. They were in the playoff last year. They lost to Baylor earlier in the year, but SMU goes to Cal, and at that point in time, Cal's going to be probably close to ranked based on the schedule that they have. You could get into that game right now for $30. Aztec game, $67. So what are the Aztecs doing now? And finally, they got to get people in the building. We've talked about that for a long time now. They built the brand new building. They need to get people inside. It's not like everything inside is super cheap either. I mean, concessions are not great. Like in terms of pricing, it's expensive. It's in California with inflation. I get it. Like that's the going rate for paying for beer, paying for food. You have all these outside entities that are in there. That's going to make things more expensive, parking, all that. But you got to get people in the building. So they're doing that. So Sean Lewis is giving away some free tickets to some youth and some extra students. If you're a season ticket holder, you have been offered up to 2 free tickets to anybody that you can cash in on. And I just got it was super simple. My dad's got season tickets. He asked for 2 tickets, got sent to me immediately, 2 free tickets at the game. It's easy. There's really no excuse to not go to the game on Saturday. The other thing that they're doing that they just announced, and they posted on their social media, and Frank's got the audio of the videos, Christian Chapman talking about this new deal that they have for Aztec tickets coming up on Saturday.
What's up, Aztec Nation? Christian Chapman, former quarterback for the Aztecs. This Saturday, September 20th, the Aztecs are facing the Cal Berkeley Bears. We're going to celebrate the 2015 Mountain West Championship football team. Also, today, there's a flash sale, $15 tickets to commemorate the 2015 team. Go to goaztecs.com and purchase your tickets. Go Aztecs.
You can get $15 tickets today, flash sale. So, again, there's an opportunity to get tickets for the game on Saturday. They want to pack the place. They got to show out, show up. This is the best game that they have on the schedule. I mean, if you look at the Aztecs football schedule, this is the best game that they have at home, at least against the best team. Boise State's been a little bit down this year. You get them later in the year. But in the remaining home games that the Aztecs have, they got Cal this week, who's legit, Colorado State, sick, Wyoming, sick, Boise State, San Jose State. I mean, aside from the Boise game on November 15th, and who knows what the Aztecs record is going to be by then, this is the best team you're going to see at home all year. And you got like easy means to get there. But I think there's something to be said here about the Aztec tickets. I mean, people like to bitch, moan, and complain about the shade as much as all their games are at 7:30 at night. Stony Brook is at 7:30 at night. Cal's at 7:30 at night. Colorado State's 7:30 at night. Wyoming's at 4 o'clock in November. Boise State's 7:30 at night, and they don't have a game time yet for San Jose State. But again, the problem with the Aztecs on this is it's too expensive to go to the games for the product that they put on the field and for the product that comes into the building. You have to give people a cheap reason to go to the games, and maybe they'll fall in love with it. Maybe they'll love the experience. I mean, trying to get the youth. I mean, they got to start basically at rock bottom right now, just like UCLA. UCLA's got a massive problem too. But at least this is a good step in the right. This is a step in the right direction. Got Koji on there saying he just bought a ticket for $15. It's great. Get to the game. I mean, this is the thing with the Aztecs, all right? This is my claim to San Diego State. We're trying our best on our show to try to get people to care about Aztec football. We are. I don't think anybody else on our station is trying as much as we are. I used to go to Aztec football games all the time as a kid. My dad went to San Diego State. He used to have season tickets. And when infant me would wear a little Aztec hat, and we'd go, and I'd be at all these tailgates at Qualcomm Stadium. It was fun. It was great. It'd be nice to get back to that level. I love college football. It would be awesome for San Diego to embrace college football as much as they've embraced everything else in sports. I mean, everything else in sports. I'm telling you that the Aztec and Freddie, I don't understand why people think Snapdragon Stadium is a bad stadium. Aside from being biased that you wanted that, soccer city to win something, Snapdragon Stadium is a good stadium. It's a nice stadium. It's easy to walk around. It's cool. They have little hangout spots. They got all the best food in town there. Good drink spot. It's a good place to watch college football. The problem with the Aztecs, it's like they're not very good. But the whole they'll never have a following here. I think a lot of people are stubborn too. I mean, this is the opportunity, I think, for the Aztecs to win people over. Get them in the building. Get them in the building. They used to sell out games when Marshall Faulk was running the ball. I've heard stories from people that have actually gone to Aztec games. I mean, they used to do it at Qualcomm. By the way, when Stanford came to town not too long ago, when we're talking about this 2015 team, that place was packed. So don't tell me that nobody has ever cared about Aztec football. But if you're a sports fan, like we are, and we talk about all the sports teams in town, we're going to talk about Aztec football. I don't know why people think it's a garbage stadium. I'd love to hear answers on that. Why is Snapdragon Stadium garbage? I think it's a pretty good stadium to watch any athletics event. And if your answer is Aztec football is not good, easy. But again, I'm in support of all teams here in San Diego. I don't discriminate against teams. I would like for San Diego to be a sports city. This is kind of part of the deal. If you want to be a sports city, it'd be nice to support all the teams in town. This, to me, is the best opportunity for San Diego State to get people to buy into the program. So this is what you're going to have. They're giving away tickets. There's no excuses. Go to the game, see what it is. This is their showcase. If they get all these people to go to the game, and we've had a couple of people already say that they have bought tickets today for the game on Saturday, and they fail, that was their one chance. This might be their one chance. I want to know reasons why people think it's a horrible stadium. The only reasons I hear are shade and the team sucks. That's it. I mean, I've gone to that stadium multiple times. I like a lot of things about that stadium. It's nice. I think it's cool. It's not big enough. I mean, for context, I think it's a great venue. I mean, nobody complains about it for soccer. Has anybody, Frank, complained about Snapdragon Stadium for San Diego FC?
No.
Like it's a lousy stadium?
Not once.
The only thing that people complain about, and I've heard, is people that wanted to vote for Soccer City that are still bitter and upset that they didn't win that vote, and people that just think Aztec football sucks. That's it. In terms of what they are as a Mountain West school, it's a perfect size stadium for them. It is. They should have built it bigger for the city of San Diego, but that's not what the case was. This is a stadium that's built for San Diego State. And the surrounding area that they're starting to build is going to be cool. I've talked to people that are in charge of leasing out the space, and they're bringing in restaurants and bars, and it's going to be cool.
And to piggyback off of what Juan Ruiz in the chat said, it's not necessarily the parking that's bad. You kind of understand that. It's the getting out of the stadium that is god-awful because it's one way in and one way out. It took me... They gave me a parking pass in the green lot for last night. Thank you very much, San Diego FC, for that. It took me 20 minutes, and I waited until the end of the game. Ceremony was over. All that stuff was done and over with. I finished preparing the show for today. I left maybe an hour after the game was over. It took me a half hour to get from my parking spot in the green lot onto Friars. A half hour after the game was an hour over. That is absurd. Stood in one spot for 10 minutes on two separate occasions. That is embarrassing.
I know the exit on the other side, I usually sneak out through.
They wouldn't let me.
Got out quick.
They would not let me.
You got hey, you're doing a great job. Thank you. Sweet talk the guy a little bit.
See, I
ride the trolley, as Cody said. Just ride the trolley. I hate that excuse all the time. Ride the trolley.
Why
just
would
ride the trolley. Just ride the trolley. It's so easy. Just ride the trolley.
Why would I pay $5 for the trolley when the team is kind enough to give me a free parking pass?
Here's what I understand. There's something that just got said in the chat that I understand. I'm going to talk about that when we come back. We also need a contestant for the Midday Sports Standoff. We'll get your phone calls, too. I know Kevin wants to weigh in on Aztec football. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Let's talk about the stadium when we come back. Sports Talk on 97 through the Fans, presented by Paramount Plus. Sylvester Stallone is back in the original hit series Tulsa King. This season, Dwight faces his most dangerous adversaries yet, forcing him to fight for everything he's built and to protect his empire. Stream the new season of Tulsa King on Sunday, September 21st, exclusively on Paramount Plus. We're going to get to our midday sports standoff in just a little bit. Do want to get your phone call, or do want to get your calls today on the Braden Surprenant Show. We're talking about the Aztecs giving away tickets to the game on Saturday and now giving away $15 tickets as part of a flash sale, which is great. And people always like to just crush on anybody that defends the Aztecs. I'm a San Diego guy, and I like to support San Diego. I like to support our sports teams. I'm a sports fan. Rooting for their failure is not something that I'm going to do. But the fact of the matter is, and everybody always talks about this, nobody would ever care about San Diego State football. Why? They said the same thing about Aztec basketball. Now everybody in town's is an Aztec fan. Everybody said, I wouldn't go to an Aztec game because the tickets are too expensive. Well, the Aztecs just made it very affordable to go watch Cal play. Cal's a good team. So here's the thing with this weekend. All the excuses I've heard about not watching Aztec football, the only one that they can't fix is the fact that the team's not, the on-field play. Okay, that's not going to drastically change in a week. But what were the complaints, Frank, about not going to Aztec football? One, tickets are too expensive, right?
Yes.
Well, guess what? Tickets are super cheap this weekend. Check.
Only for today, though.
Yeah, well, 15. They're giving away tickets at other spots. You could probably get tickets very cheap for Saturday's game. Cheaper tickets get you in the building. What's number two? They got to play somebody that's good. Can't watch them play Wyoming. They're playing Cal. Cal's good. Cal's got a good quarterback. You know what? Go to the game and watch Cal's quarterback play. If you want to go to the game. You want to go watch college football. Go watch Cal play. You don't have to watch the Aztecs play. Watch Cal. Up close and personal for Cal. The thing is I would love to see college football take up. This is why, like, San Diegans just don't care about college football. There's nothing about it in town. Like, fake pretend care about other teams or, like, maybe the schools that they went to. But it would be great to actually get something to do with Aztec football. Nobody wants to see a team lose. They used to watch you guys could go to Padres games for years and watch them lose. A lot of teams that lose. The winning will come eventually, I believe. But just the negativity is crazy to me. And again, it's just like, it's a lot of, Sam said, a lot of non-ball knowers out there. I mean, the comment to me about, like, the higher education was hilarious to me. That's the problem right there. That's the problem. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. I know a passionate Aztecs fan that's been disappointed in Aztec football that wants to weigh in. Kevin in Chula Vista, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Kevin?
Hey, Braden. Well, congratulations and thanks for your efforts. And it doesn't go unnoticed, believe me. And commendable. And so I don't want to rain on anybody's parade here. Certainly, I think it's unfortunate that San Diego State didn't realize early on that they had some real serious problems with the community. And there's not just one reason. There's a host of reasons. And I can take it back to Marshall because I was at his practice, the very first practice that he was at, and he just stunned all of us that were at that infamous day where he emerged. Here's the thing. You've got to have players that you can identify with and that you can market. And back in the day, of course, things were different because you had players sticking around for 4 and 5 years. What they are suffering from now is this whole constant turnover. It's difficult to market players that are always on the move and gone. You can't find, Braden, 10 people on the street in San Diego that could identify an Aztec football player. You just can't. And the same thing goes to Cal for that matter. It's, you guys are close to the sports scene. You can do it, but you got to think outside and look around in the real world. People don't have that type of connection or need to pay attention to this stuff. So that's a big problem. And so, just the entire approach to marketing, they've been criticized out there for years, and they've done nothing about the marketing. I think the other big problem is you've got these games last way too long. And that's when I stopped doing the season tickets, when all of a sudden TV timeout, replay timeout, TV timeout, replay timeout. All of a sudden, these are 5-hour games. There aren't that many people, and it doesn't matter when you start the game, that are going to want to dedicate 5 hours. The last thing that they have failed to understand and realize, and this is what has disappointed me about this pathetic 12 arrangement, Braden, they don't have a bona fide rival. We used to have BYU. That was a big, big deal back in the day, and we lost that for various reasons. But there's nothing that comes out of this new arrangement that even promotes rivalries at this point. Who is our geographic rival in that group? There isn't.
Well,
there
Fresno State you have a trophy with. I don't know how many people care about playing Fresno State, though. Nobody
does. All due respect, they don't. It's something that came out of the old PCAA days. So it's not just, my final point, it's not just that the team is bad. This goes back historically to a program that has made so many blunders about how they've marketing and how they've approached public relations with people. It's like they automatically assume that folks are going to show up here just because it says San Diego State on the jersey. No, we showed up in droves when there was a reason to show up, when you had players that you could identify with, and these were players that you made time for because they were that exciting. They don't have that now, and they haven't had it for quite some time.
Yeah, those are all good points, Kevin. There's a couple of things that I do want to address, and some people in the chat are weighing in. Like, Matt, my brother went to Tennessee, right? I've been to many Tennessee games. It's a different environment there, but we're not asking San Diego State to be Tennessee. And the SEC is different because there's nothing to do in Knoxville. Same thing with a lot of other places in the country. But the thing is with the football, the thing that has really bothered me with San Diego State is the arrogance that their athletic department has had when it comes to the Aztecs in town. My thing is with Aztec football, I think Jake Waters brings up a good point. Jake Waters is very involved with college athletics. He sees a lot of different college games around the country and a lot of teams that are doing the same thing, right? I'm not comparing the Aztecs to Tennessee. I'm not comparing the Aztecs to anybody in the Big 12. But when you start looking at San Diego State and other teams like San Diego State and other schools like San Diego State, Fresno State has a big following. Fresno State cares about their football team. I know it's a different town, different size town, and their games aren't 5 hours either. I think you look at some of the other teams, like UNLV. How can UNLV do well in college football and not San Diego State? They're in Vegas. I mean, you think San Diego's got a lot of distractions? They're in Vegas. They're building something at UNLV. Why can't the Aztecs be like UNLV? I mean, it takes a lot of forward thinking from their top-of-the-line people over there at San Diego State. I'm finally glad that they're getting people in the building. Here's the other thing. And what I learned from my time at TCU, for them to get people to go to their Olympic sports, is the youth. We don't have in town a football team like the NFL where you can take your kids to a game and show them what it's like to watch their favorite sport in person. San Diego State, that's where they need to get people to go. I mean, I'll watch at USD to get men's soccer. Like men's and women's soccer gets a good showing. Why? They invite all the travel teams in town. San Diego State should be inviting all of the Pop Warner organizations in town to go to the games. This is what colleges do for the Olympic sports, the sports that they can't fill seats for, getting kids to go to games, building them at a young age. But a lot of people in the chat have actually brought up that point, and it's being active in the community. I just don't see it as much with San Diego State. I think they're trying a lot more now. I think Sean Lewis is trying a lot more than Rocky Long and Brady Hoke has done. But at least San Diego State had good teams in 2015. I mean, they're going to honor one of them on Saturday. They don't have a good team right now, so they got to find other ways to do it. I think this is a step in the right direction. But it's going to take some time with these guys. And now you have an opponent this week that's actually an opponent that is worth going to watch, unlike playing Wyoming and Colorado State. They missed the boat when they didn't try at every point necessary to get into a power conference and using their basketball team for it. But they don't really market the football team. I totally understand that. But you can win right now in college football, like a lot of these other schools that have the same resources as San Diego State, and they get a following. There's a lot of them out there that San Diego State could be that they're not being. Mike and PB, you're on the Braden Surprenant Show. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, how's it going, man? As a transplant from the Southeast, the biggest thing I notice about San Diego State and football and sports out here in general, there are no great traditions. Now, at USC, the Warrior plants the sword or whatever, but there's no identity or tradition to San Diego State football. Look, I went to Florida State for a number of years and watched games there, and there's plenty to do outside of going to the game, especially when you consider all the sports bars that are lined up where you can go watch the game in air conditioned and drink cheaper beer and all that other stuff. But there's tradition and identity on that campus, and this place is fun to go to. Last year there were 2-10, still got 60,000 a game. There's a tradition and an identity in other football programs that San Diego State literally just doesn't have. When I moved out here, I wasn't even sure if they still had a program.
Yeah, you forget about it because they got all the transplants in town, and a lot of people just don't care. But San Diego State doesn't put an effort forward to make people care about them. They're trying now. I mean, finally, they're trying now, but they're not actively putting guys on shows. They'll do it on our show. I mean, we have to beg them for players. And most of the time, I've gotten players that I previously coached. I mean, Frank, those are the guys that we've put on from San Diego, the guys that I've coached. A lot easier. But Mike brings up a good point. I mean, I went to TCU, as everybody knows, and they're a smaller school in a big city, Dallas-Fort Worth area. They have traditions. They have people that have been going to games for generations. It's a little bit different. I think Mike brings up a good point. I mentioned this earlier in the week when I was talking about UCLA. UCLA's got a lot of problems right now, too. I think West Coast football in general, or West Coast college sports outside of Oregon, it's just not a very passionate fan base. I think you get to Utah and BYU, I think are a passionate fan base. But USC and UCLA, LA's passionate about them when they're good. That's about it. I mean, look at UCLA right now. They're awful. Stanford and Cal, I guess. There's not really traditions with those schools. UW, I guess they have the tradition of the boats driving around. Here's why they shouldn't drop football. And people think, they should just drop football. When you drop football, your attendance plummets. Your male attendance plummets. It creates a lot of problems for other entities at the school. It's not every school. Gonzaga can survive with their basketball program at a high level. But there's been the case, and this is why USD has kept football for a long time. When you drop football, a lot of enrollment for your school goes down in the male category. And what they have found was, and this happened at Azusa Pacific, and they're bringing football back. They dropped football. They realized the attendance for all their other sports plummeted because they dropped football, because they were not getting the kids that were just passionate about sports that would pay to go watch their sports teams play. They stopped showing up. So Azusa Pacific's adding football back. I know it's different at a Power 4 level. I think it's different than whatever, but that was the case. And the West Coast football is just different. But again, the enrollment for males, I'm telling you right now, football drives a lot of the enrollment for a lot of kids throughout high schools. The male enrollment will drop at San Diego State if they got rid of football. I'm telling you that right now. It will drop. And they don't want to say that, but that's the reason. I mean, you start looking at the reason why people go to SEC schools. Think about it. Right now, at all the high schools, kids are wearing Tennessee stuff, they're wearing Alabama stuff, they're wearing South Carolina stuff, why do they want to go there? Is it for their education at Tennessee? No. It's because they got football. It drives everything. That's why it's such a moneymaker for schools. That's why they keep it. And the colleges that get rid of it, you'll start to see alumni involvement go down. You'll start to see attendance go down from male populations. I'm telling you, it's happened before. It will happen again. We'll get to the 1 o'clock hour next. All right. I hate talking to higher education people, dude. They're so blinded by being in higher education sometimes. So I'm gonna ignore some of the chats here. But people don't understand the value of sports. They don't. People in the academic world do not understand the value of sports. I have to deal with that every day at Cathedral. I try to mention that to like the people at Cathedral all the time. If it wasn't for football at Cathedral, they'd be like Francis Park. Nobody would care. Nobody would care. Everybody hates Cathedral because it's a football team. I mean, that's why people send their kids there. It's how great the football team was. People start paying attention. Same thing can be said about all the massive schools in college athletics. Does anybody care about Tennessee if they didn't have a football team? No, nobody cares about Tennessee. Like going to UT Chattanooga. Nobody cares. If Penn State didn't have a football team, is anybody going to Penn State for school? I mean, very small amount. The reason why a lot of these schools have sports, it has that alumni pride. There's a reason like that. There's a reason they have these things. Even though San Diego State is trying to get people to go to their football teams or to go to their football games, I'm telling you right now, it's not the same as like Gonzaga. Gonzaga's got 5,000 kids at their school. They can just invest everything in basketball and be okay with it. It's fine. It works out like that. But a big reason why San Diego State gets the money and the funding for their athletic program is through football still. The TV contracts are for football. They're not for basketball. Slightly for basketball, but it's mostly for football. But San Diego State needs to do a better job at marketing their football program. San Diego State's a large school. I don't know why people think San Diego State is a massive school for a university. I mean, my college now has 13,000 people at it. Like when I was there, we had 9,000 kids at our school. You know, San Diego State's enrollment is incredibly high. There's 40,000 students at San Diego State. 40,000. That is a massive school. And it's just different. Small schools can survive without football. Massive schools, it's different. It's not the same. You basically turn it into a commuter school. You don't have that school pride. You know that school. You can do basketball as a small school. You can't do it as a big school. There's not many like massive schools that only have basketball. There's a handful, but most of the basketball schools are like private schools, and they do have small level football programs. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. Most of the reasoning why people don't want to go to Aztec football is because the product's not very good, and they usually don't play anybody good either. That's the reason. There's a lot of excuses about other things. I think if the price was better and more affordable, you could get people to show up, and then you slowly build from there and try to win some games. Same thing happened with Aztec basketball. They couldn't get anybody to go to Aztec basketball. Like nothing. They couldn't get anybody to go to Aztec basketball. Give it away free tickets, give it away opportunities for kids. What? Come support the basketball program. And then they slowly started to build a fan base and be able to get players. San Diego State can do that. I do think they need to be better in marketing in the area. We got to make picks.
I just saw a comment in there from our friend in the chat. It's a huge school that makes zero money from football.
That's not true.
Where do you think the television contract money is going?
Yeah, where's that coming from?
It's going to the football program, and you're only getting it because of the football program.
Football funds every sport at every school, with the exception of the small schools that aren't making gobs of money with the TV contracts. The only reason why San Diego State has this money that they can use for basketball is because of the football program, as bad as it may be. Football drives all the money. I mean, I don't even know, did we have it on the rundown about the Valley Center situation?
Yeah, we do. Mm-hmm.
What did Thad McNeil say that they were going to lose? I got to go read it. I mean, so Valley Center is not playing Carlsbad on Friday. They're citing health issues. Right. They already forfeited the game. They had too many kids that are out. Thad McNeil had this to say about it in the paper. This is a direct quote. He's the head coach at Carlsbad. He said he's super unhappy, which, this happens. This has happened to us so many times. I get they're beating up, black screen, but we take a $25,000 hit losing a home game.
That's a high school.
That is a high school game. They take a $25,000 hit as a high school team. It's Carlsbad. They're a good football program. It's Carlsbad. It ain't a Trinity League school. It ain't a school in Texas. It ain't like they're not getting massive numbers at Carlsbad. They take a $25,000 hit if they don't play a home game. I'm telling you, Aztec football is making money for their athletic department. There's no reason, like dropping football for San Diego State would be catastrophically bad. If you think that they're just going to continue to get the same funding for everything else, it's lunacy. It's lunacy. I think San Diego State giving up football would be ridiculous. It's a big driver for college athletics. For the big schools. Small schools, fine. Small schools, fine. Big schools kind of need football. I'm telling you, there's a reason why schools like USD have football. USD has non-scholarship football. Non-scholarship football. They've done the studies over there about how important it is for them to have a football team. It's non-scholarship. They're in the Pioneer League. The Pioneer League. Do you know what the Pioneer League is, Frank? That is for all the non-scholarship D1 football teams. USD is in that league. Can you name me the closest team to USD in their conference? I wouldn't expect you to, but could you do that?
Pepperdine?
No, Pepperdine doesn't have football.
Oh.
To the West Coast
No.
Conference. The closest team geographically to USD in their conference, in the Pioneer League, also non-scholarship, is Drake. You know where Drake is? Drake's in Des Moines, Iowa. That's the closest game that USD has on the road. So you're think about this for a second with USD football.
What soccer thing is going on out there?
What?
Drake.
Oh. Drake will be at the game tonight. He did not attend Drake, nor is the school named after him. That would be cool. But USD plays in the Pioneer League. Teams in the Pioneer League, and I always have to change this. I always have to look it up because teams are always dropping and adding and stuff like that. But it's all non-scholarship football teams at the D1 level, by the way. Good luck trying to compete. So USD will never win a championship in football because they got to deal with the Big Sky. And I think it's going to be almost impossible. They can win the Pioneer League, but they spend tons of money on flying their football team for all league games cross country. The Pioneer, here's the schools in the Pioneer League, Pioneer Football League. Okay. Their schools are in New York, Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, North and South Carolina, Florida, Minnesota, and Iowa. Those are the states that are in this league. There's one team in California. It's the University of San Diego. That league's got Butler, Davidson, Dayton, Drake, Marist, Morehead State, Presbyterian, University of St. Thomas, USD, Stetson, and Valpo. They spend the money to fly cross country. They don't give out scholarships. It's a non-scholarship football program, and they value football that much in that. It's not even like they're getting a big TV contract for it either. It literally, you go through it. Doesn't make a lot of sense. But with the research that they've done, they know, at least they've said, that it's a benefit to them in terms of enrollment, in terms of male enrollment, to keep a football team. You would think out of all the teams, it'd be why is USD spending all this money? They non-scholarship, they got to fly cross country. It costs, it's the biggest budget of the athletic department. There's a reason why they keep football. So getting rid of Aztecs dropping their league would just be crazy. And again, I'm the biggest advocate on the station to try to get people to go to Aztec games. All I'm trying to do, just try to get people to support and just met with so much hate. It's hilarious. It's crazy to me. It's amazing. The hatred for Aztec football in this town by a lot of people that it doesn't affect them. I'm trying to get people to go to games. That's it. 833-288-0973, 833-288-0973. We need to take a quick break, and then we need to make our picks for the college football week. Skylar has texted her picks from Hawaii. We'll talk about that. We'll get into San Diego FC as they win their first annual Baja Cup. Frank was there last night, and we'll get you a preview of Padres baseball. So much to get to, so little time. Eddie Brown joins us at 1:30 on the Braden Surprenant Show. way too much soccer on here right now. So much soccer. Frank is in just all over the place.
Yeah,
did the Cubs win that game? They did.
Yes,
Cubs
they
win.
did. And the Cubs have clinched a playoff spot with that win. So
bang, they're in. 3 spots down, 3 spots to go.
You were reading that Paramount Plus read, and I'm like, we got Paramount Plus working overtime in this room right now. Personal productivity is down to -0 at the moment as Bayern lead Chelsea 2-1 and Inter lead Ajax 2-0.
Well, I'm going to need you to make some college football picks, so let's get to it.
Uh-oh.
By the way, before we get to one of these games, did you see like SMU football is getting rid of Pony Up?
Really?
Yeah, their new like coaching staff. I don't know who it is. New admin, new powers to be, new coaching staff. They're getting rid of Pony Up. And it has upset most of their fan base.
I'm sure
who like doing the Pony Up deal. Mustangs. They're like, no, we're the Mustangs. We're the only school in college football that's got the Mustangs. We're the Mustangs. All right, dude, whatever. If you're upset with Pony Up. Now that I know that the Ponies upset them, I'm definitely only calling them Pony Express. That's it. Texas Tech at Utah. Utah is favored by 3.5, 9 a.m. on Fox. I think this game is going to be great. Utah and Texas Tech. Both haven't been tested yet. Both have really incredible rosters. 2 teams that are going to be battling for the Big 12 championship. It's in Utah. This game, it is a shame that this game is getting played at 9 in the morning. It is a shame that this game's at 10 in the morning Mountain Time. This game should be at 2:30 at least, one of those 2:30 kicks. But I digress. Utah and Texas Tech. I'm taking the Red Raiders plus 3.5 on Saturday at 9 a.m.
I am going to take Texas Tech as well, and we
And
know
we're
from
all
Skylar,
on
so we're
Texas
all
Tech.
on Texas Tech.
Skylar's in Hawaii, otherwise she'd be picking with us.
Yep. Second game, you got a slight interest in this one, I'm sure.
It's the Battle of the Iron Skillet on Saturday at 9. Another travesty at the games at 9 in the morning, but I digress.
Let's see who gets beat over the head with that iron skillet. Is it going to be the SMU Mustangs or will it be the TCU Horny Toads? 6.5 points, TCU favored, 9 a.m. on ESPN Dos.
I'm taking TCU.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, depends on what the spread was. I think we could beat them by more than. I think we could beat it by more than a touchdown. TCU's looked a lot better than SMU's looked. SMU struggled with Missouri State last week. They lost to Baylor in overtime or multiple overtimes a couple of weeks ago. And even in their first game, they didn't like whatever. But I had to feel like I felt like we had to pick TCU SMU. I felt like I'd be dodging things if I didn't put them on there. And I don't think it's fair to Skylar to make her pick the Alabama game every week and not have to pick the TCU game at least once. So I'll take the Frogs.
I'm going to take TCU as well. So we are all in agreement
on the Frogs. Thanks. So we have
on the first 2 games.
I would like to apologize. I would like to apologize to Sonny Dykes now. We have cursed them, which is great. I should have picked SMU, but you know what? Let's move on. Auburn at Oklahoma. This is going to be a good one. Oklahoma by 6.5, 12:30 on ABC. I like the Auburn Tigers in this game more than I like the Oklahoma Sooners. I think the Oklahoma Sooners are fake good. I'll take Auburn plus 6.5.
Mateer is looking like a genuine.
John Mateer's good. I'm not going to lie.
He's
there.
looking like a genuine Heisman candidate. Also, first game back in Oklahoma for Jackson Arnold. So wonder what happens with that. I'm going Boomer Sooner. And we know Skylar is taking Auburn.
I can't believe Skylar's taking her arch nemesis in the Auburn Tigers. But you know what? There she is.
See what happens when you want to win?
She needs to catch up on some games.
Coming up next.
We didn't want to mention that I went 7-3 last week.
We already did.
Sky went
we
4-6.
already did.
20-15 on the
already did.
Tulane.
Yes, the Tulane Green Wave at 3-0 are at Ole Miss to take on the Rebels. Ole Miss favored by 10.5 in this game. It is a 12:30 kick on Espen.
I will take. Tulane always gives these teams a run for their money. I think Ole Miss wins. I think it's close, though. Ole Miss should have lost to Arkansas last week. Arkansas, put that. They let that one get away from them. I'll take Tulane to cover. I'll go Tulane plus 10.5.
I'm taking Tulane to cover as well.
Plus, they got the coolest logo in college football.
Yes, and Skylar has Ole Miss. So that is the second one we disagree on.
All right, I'll read this one to get you caught up on the music in the background. Michigan favored by 2.5 at Nebraska, 12:30 on CBS. I'm going to take the Cornhuskers in an upset. I think Nebraska's looked pretty good so far this season. Michigan's kind of faltered. They went to Oklahoma and lost earlier in the season. They've looked okay. They battled with New Mexico at home. I'm taking the Cornhuskers. Dylan Raiola, mini Patrick Mahomes against Michigan.
I'm going to take Nebraska as well. So we're all in agreement
Can you
on
stop
this
picking
game
my
as well.
picks? You know what? This is great because now you guys can't make up any ground. I'll just pick what you guys
there it
pick.
is. So why don't you just stop taking the same teams then?
Well, I picked it first. So.
All right.
Arizona State at Baylor. Both teams are 2-1. Baylor's favored by 2.5. 4:30 on Fox. In another world, this would be a ranked matchup. Both Arizona State and Baylor losing early in the season.
A lot of 2.5 point spreads this week.
A lot of coin flip games. I like Baylor at home. I'll take Baylor minus 2.5.
Skylar is going with you. She's taking Baylor. I am going to go against the grain on this one. I believe this one's going to go to our boy Sammy Lev out in Arizona State. Coming up next,
the Apple Cup.
The Apple Cup, battle of in-state rivals. Who wins the state of Washington? Is it going to be the Huskies or the Cougs? 4:30 on CBS. It is a 20.5 point spread. I think you know which way I'm leaning on this one, then.
You're going to take the Cougs, then, huh?
I'm going Wazoo all the way.
20.5. If Washington State didn't get it flat out embarrassed in Denton, Texas, I'd probably pick the Cougs, but 20.5 points is a lot. And I think Washington's going to kill them too. Maybe they keep it close because it's a rivalry game. I can't believe in Jed Fish. Apple Cup last year was kind of fun. I'll take Washington State to cover the 20.5. I think they lose by 19.
All righty. And Skylar is going with Washington. So she's got the Huskies. Braden and I were on the same wavelength there. Next game, the Florida Gators at 1-2, taking on the number 4 Hurricanes of Miami. It is a 7.5 point favorite towards the Canes. Braden,
I didn't think Florida was very good, but I'm going to tell you right now, they looked better against LSU last week. I thought they're going to get smoked in Baton Rouge. Maybe LSU's not that great. I don't know. Even though Heather Dinich said, well, LSU beat Clemson, and therefore they're locked to be in the playoff. Georgia Tech beat Clemson. But you know what? Clemson's 1-2 now, so that's not really that great of a win. They still have work to do. I can't believe that was said in an article, by the way. I can and I can't. The SEC bias is real. I think Florida keeps that game close with Miami. I think they're, obviously their backs are against the wall in terms of the rest of the season. Really, Napier's probably on the hot seat. I like Florida to cover at Miami. I think Miami's good. I don't think they're that good. I know they've off to a good start. They handled South Florida last week. I like Florida in this game to cover. I like Miami to win. I'll take the Gators plus 7.5.
Both Skylar and I are going to take Miami. And I'm expecting Florida's head coach to be fired after this one.
Is he going to get tarmacked?
Probably. Penultimate game of this 10-game leg here. The number 9 Illinois Fighting Illini take on the number 19 Indiana Hoosiers. God bless you. Hoosiers favored by 5.5. This could be a 4:30 kick on NBC. Braden, who do you got?
Do we really think Illinois is the 9th best team in the country?
Do we really think that Indiana is something special compared to last year when they had the weakest schedule ever?
I think their schedule is even weaker this year, is it not?
Great.
Indiana this year has beat Old Dominion, Kennesaw State, Indiana State. Oh,
quality competition there.
They have earned their 19 ranking, apparently. Or has Illinois earned their number 9 ranking? They beat Western Illinois, Duke, and Western Michigan. God. This is a hard game because both teams are frauds. Both teams are frauds. I'm going to say both teams are frauds.
All right, so Braden.
I'll take.
Braden forfeits his fifth.
No, I don't forfeit the pick. I'll take the Illini plus 5.5.
God, I hate you so much.
I don't know, man. They're both frauds.
We've
Okay,
all-
they are both fraudulent.
We've all got the Fighting Illini, and I think we're all going to be the same here on this one. The
Cal favored by 12
Golden
and a half.
Bears favored by 12.5 points over the Aztecs of San Diego State. CBS Sports Network, 7:30 kick. You and I will both be there for this game. Who do you got?
I got Cal. I think Cal
really?
wins by more than 12. I'd love to see the Aztecs make this
1, 2,
a game.
3,
But after their deal after Washington State, it's just Cal's got a good quarterback. They're loaded.
Half of the games, literally half of the games that we are picking this week, we all agree on.
I'll take Cal minus 12.5. Hey, good news. You can only make up 5 games max if I lose all those games.
Great. Love that.
Love it. Resident Kansas State. I got to ask how Ron's doing, man. It's just been the Wildcats, man. K-State Wildcats just do not look very good. What do we got, Ron? How are we doing, buddy? What's going on?
I'm doing great, Braden, because we're not playing this week. I don't have to worry about a loss.
Hey, you know what?
Like going back.
Kansas State Wildcats, man. The bye week is always a tough week, though. You can't take the bye week lightly. You might get bit.
Now you're just piling on, Braden. It's rough. And here again, I told you the first year I did not like playing in Ireland. I think it threw them all off. But what I don't understand is they're not turning the kid loose. They're wasting one of their best assets in Avery Johnson in rushing. And for whatever reason, they've got his feet in concrete. And I can't quite figure that out. Hopefully they get it under control. We can knock some people off. But that defense I thought would be great, is just porous as hell.
It hasn't been very good. I mean, they lose to Arizona last week, and the loss to Army was really that was a very eye-opening loss for Kansas State. But every time I was looking at the K-State scores, I immediately thought of Ron LeMay. I'm like, oh man, it's probably breaking his heart. It's tough to watch for the Big 12, man. Big 12 is good when Kansas State is good.
Yeah, well, Braden, I didn't know that you can let Sherman tanks on the field like Army did. My God, those guys, you could not stop them from going 3 and 4 yards. I've never seen a team hold the ball the entire third quarter. It was just brutal. And, I'm a K-State fan. Basketball's not far away. I won't flush it just yet. But, now I'm just going to sit back and see where the chips fly.
Yeah, and hopefully they can bounce back against UCF in a couple of weeks at 9 a.m. on Fox Sports 1. Ron, appreciate the phone call as always, man. Thanks again.
All right, take care, brother.
Love talking college football with Ron. Better get a resident Kansas State update.
There you go.
We've picked the same teams 5 times.
We have
all 3 of us.
5, yes. All 3 of us have
Which are those games?
Texas Tech,
TCU,
Nebraska, Cal, and Illinois. Those are the 5 that we have all picked.
The 5 no-brainers, obviously, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Isaac, see where the ship flies. That's where all the problems are right now.
That's
anyway.
where you go.
All right. Well, that's enough of college football for today. We got to get to
we got some soccer.
We do got to get to some. We have Eddie Brown too, so we're going to get to. We have some time. We got a couple of minutes here. Let's get to what happened last night.
San Diego FC won.
Thank you.
Last night, no, it was a solid game last night between San Diego FC and Tijuana. San Diego FC winning 4-0. Not a single member of San Diego FC's starting 11 were on the roster. Were on the listed roster. Not a single one of them. The biggest takeaway that I had from last night, the vibe of the night just kind of felt off to me. Because
you were texting me that the whole time.
It looked like, the ultras were there. The ultras were doing their thing. They showed up. I even saw there's a picture going around that Bernie Wilson, friend of the show, Bernie Wilson, was actually down with the ultras for a little while.
That's fun.
Joining them. That looked fantastic. I wish I would have noticed it last night. The parking lots looked packed. it looked like there was a bunch of people doing stuff outside the stadium
more than inside the stadium,
but there was no one in the stadium. Like there were so many empty seats. It was like just
Didn't
under.
they say it was a sellout or something?
It was like 29,191, something like that. It was under 29,000.
Did it look like 29,000 out there?
No, it didn't. And there was no buzz like there is with an MLS game, which really, really threw me off. When you go there for an MLS match, everyone is in on every single play. Whichever way the ball's going, there's some sort of crowd reaction. There was nothing until a shot was off the foot. Every single time. The first goal that San Diego FC gave up was just an embarrassment. It was a bad pass, found a foot of a player for TJ. The keeper was a mile and a half out of the net. He may as well have been at SeaWorld. Open net from half pitch. That was how it started. But after that, it just felt off. It just felt so like blah, which is not what I expected, especially with TJ coming up here. I'd be interested to see if San Diego FC goes to TJ next year, because I believe it's a 3-year deal. I'd be interested if they go down there next year.
That'd be interesting to go to. I know Ben's gone down there a couple times. I know some other people have been down there to the games. Pretty cool. But
speaking of leaving the press box, I noticed something that really bothered me yesterday.
Go beat a drum.
And I noticed something that really bothered me yesterday, and I texted it to you.
A press box etiquette?
There were 2 people for Tijuana social media, whatever.
Did they work for the team?
I don't know. They were sitting in the away team section of the press box. Every press box, for those of you who don't know, has the home section, the away section, and then there's just like television, radio people. They're all kind of grouped together. 2 people in the TJ section of the press box wearing TJ jerseys, like wearing match day jerseys.
No cheering in the press box.
And cheering, as a matter of fact.
It's funny you mentioned that, because we got to get a break with to Eddie. It's doing the USD Southern Utah game for football a couple of Saturdays ago. And somebody with Southern Utah like cheered on a touchdown, and Don Norcross just shouts, "No cheering in the press box!" And the press box at USD is so small. I was like, I looked at Jack Cronin, I was like,
well, at least all of our broadcasts heard that.
I was like, is he kidding, or is he actually like? Don sounds really mad right now, which I'm Team Don on that.
Yeah, 100%.
I was taught a certain way about covering teams.
Same with me.
Thank you to my TCU sports broadcasting education. Respect the press box. There's no cheering in the press box, no wearing of gear in the press box. You're a neutral. You're a journalist. You're a writer. You're a broadcaster. You are not a fan when you're in the press box. God, we sound old. But you know what? That's what I remember. We got to get to a break. We covered the Fleet.
Yeah.
When they were here, and like we had like 5 or 6 guys credentialed, and some of the younger, they were all older than me, but they were younger members of our deal. A lot of my friends now, they went to the press box to help cover their board ops, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it went into like, I had to like tell them the rules. Like, no, you can't. No, don't wear that. Wear this. Stop cheering. You're not supposed to cheer. You're not a fan. This is not for you to be a fan and to get exclusive stuff for free. This is for you to work. This is how that works. I try to tell people that all the time. In this day and age, though, like there's a lot of people that are fans that like create blogs, and then they get credentials for it, and then boom, they're like, hey, look, I know what I'm doing. It's like, no, you don't. Stop it.
And it's affected me as well, because even when I am a fan, I cannot cheer.
No.
Like, it's been trained out of me.
I don't
like,
cheer
I can't
a lot.
do it.
Now that I will say this, and I'm super late on a break. TCU football, I'm rowdy. I get into a TCU. Padres baseball,
really?
like I'm like, yeah, nice. I'm so used to watching the Padres and not being allowed to say anything or cheer in the press box that I don't really go nuts. People go like, do you do this? I'm like, oh, I go, you know what, during TCU football. But That's the only sport now that I get super excited for. Like it kills your fandom gets killed the more you work in this industry because it's part of work. It's work. It's being professional. All that stuff. TCU football, a little bit different. I let the guard down. I go off. Saturday, I'm gonna have film to go to after a game against Helix, and then I'm gonna be locked into TCU SMU, and I'm gonna have to watch that by myself. I will be in some. Frank's actually got to watch me watch TCU football as I'm hosting a party. It was tough. Anyway, we got to take a break. Eddie Brown's gonna be back. What do you do if you have Joe Burrow? What are you doing with some of the big pickups? Wan'Dale Robinson had a big weekend for the Giants last weekend. Is he worth a pickup? We'll talk about everything you need to know before you make your pickups for fantasy football with Eddie Brown when we come back. We didn't do our midday sports standoff, but if you're able to take me down in sports trivia, you would have been qualified for a chance to win a grand prize, a trip to see the Eagles at Sphere Las Vegas, including 2 tickets to the show on January 30th, a 2-night stay at the Venetian Resort Las Vegas, a Vibe VIP package, and a $100 gas card. Eagles have added 2026 shows to the band's residency at Sphere in Las Vegas on Friday, January 23rd, Saturday, January 24th, Friday, January 30th, and Saturday, January 31st. The residency now features a total of 48 shows from Friday, September 20th through Saturday, January 31st, 2026. Tickets at Ticketmaster.com. This hour of 97 Through the Fan is brought to you by U.S. Wellness Meats. Overwhelmed by processed foods, U.S. Wellness Meats offers an all-natural alternative, 100% grass-fed beef, pork, poultry, wild-caught seafood, and more. Shipped free from family farms. Get 20% off your first order at uswellnessmeats.com. We usually do this on Thursday. We're going to talk about it today instead. Fantasy football. Eddie Brown is our fantasy football expert. He joins me on the Braden Surprenant show. Eddie, what's going on? How did week 2 go for the Brown fantasy football teams?
Pretty similar to week 1. It was kind of a split, except I think the teams that won in week 1 lost in week 2, and the ones that lost in week 1 won in week 2. So, pretty much just kind of I'm still at that place where you're sorting out like, hey, did I make a mistake in the draft sort of realm. So so far so good.
So now we're getting to the time where there's some now major injuries out there in fantasy football. And the most notable one, of course, is at quarterback with Joe Burrow. Now, this affects Joe Burrow fantasy owners, obviously, but it could also affect T. Higgins owners and Jamar Chase owners, and Brown owners, the running back for Cincinnati. It kind of affects the entire group. Sounds like they're going to go with Jake Browning. They got a 4-man quarterback room now. What can you tell us about the Joe Burrow injury and what the impact is for fantasy football owners?
That's tough. I actually lost him in one of my leagues. He's one of the best quarterbacks at times, I think, plays the position as well as anybody's ever played it. But he's one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL, obviously, an asset in fantasy. And like you said, Braden, I mean, whether you end up picking up Jake Browning this week to replace him or not, you're rooting for him if you have Jamar Chase, if you have T. Higgins or Chase Brown, or anybody on that offense. Good news is Browning, he had a stretch of games towards the end of 2023 where he had to step in for Burrow. And he played well, I think it was the final 7 games of the season in 2023. He ended up finishing as, I think, the overall QB4 during that stretch, which is really, really, really good. And I don't think there was much of a drop-off in Chase's production or the rest of the offense's production. Obviously, Chase Brown wasn't a thing then. I think going forward, they're going to have to take the pressure off of him. I mean, he stepped in on Sunday and played pretty well, too. Obviously, the 3 picks, you don't like seeing that, but he countered that with 3 touchdowns of his own, including the game-winning score, jumping over the line, to eke out a victory against the Jaguars. And Jamar Chase had a big game. I think they're going to focus on probably getting Chase Brown a little bit more involved in the pass game, which is something they did last year. going forward. And I think it's going to be a wait and see approach, but I think they're going to be okay. I don't see a huge drop off. And I think we'd all be happy if we get 80-85% of what Jamar Chase and T. Higgins and Case Brown normally would provide.
We're talking with Eddie Brown, who's a sports reporter for the San Diego Union Tribune. He's our fantasy football expert. All right, so Joe Burrow is obviously one of the big names that affects a lot of people in fantasy football. And you and I were texting a little bit yesterday about some other areas. Long-term, Daniels, McCarthy, Purdy, Fields, are also likely out this week. I mean, a lot of injuries at quarterback. Where do you start to find some value with quarterbacks right now out there in fantasy football if you got a lot of question marks with some of the players that you currently have?
Yeah, I think we got to start believing in Daniel Jones. If you were apprehensive after week 1, I get it. But he just had a pretty good game against the Broncos, and they're a pretty good defense. Coming into the week, I think he was still available in probably about 80% of leagues, and that's shot up over the last couple of days. But if you lost Burrow, at very least, you obviously you're dealing with a long-term hole in your roster. So Jones is the first guy I would hit up. Otherwise, we just talked about Browning. And then it's kind of a week-to-week basis. I like Carson Wentz this week. McCarthy's out for the next 2 to 4 weeks. I think anybody throwing the ball to Justin Jefferson has upside. Also, might still be some rushing upside still left in the tank for Carson. I think Matt Jones had a great game last week. Purdy's I think he's 50-50 to play this week. But obviously Jones did well in Shanahan's offense, threw for 3 touchdowns. So I'm not I think Marcus Mariota is more of a caretaker if Daniels is out, although Daniels could still play. I'm kind of concerned long-term for him, even if he does play. He's just taking too many hits at this point. Even going back to last year, he was taking too many hits. And so that's something I think him and the coaching staff are going to have to figure out a way to correct and protect him a little bit more without, taking that out of his game. Obviously, he's going to make plays with his legs. He's going to get outside the pocket, but you got to protect him more because he's just too important to the franchise. And if you drafted him in fantasy, he's too important to you.
There's a couple of the names that have kind of popped up as of late in terms of long-term ads or players that have gotten off to good starts that you wouldn't really think, but might be on the waiver wire this week. I mean, one is Wan'Dale Robinson from the weekend that he had for the Giants. Obviously, they still have Malik Neighbors over there also, but he is starting to fly up the boards a little bit in the fantasy football realm. Alec Aomanor of Tennessee had a big day over the weekend for the Titans. He's starting to emerge a little bit as a wide receiver that you could potentially pick up. And then the last one that I thought was interesting, at least in a couple leagues, like Troy Franklin with Denver, another one of those names that starting to jump out a little bit in terms of free agent pickups in this particular week. What can you say about these kind of receivers that might be out there as you go through the first couple of weeks of the season?
Well, I love Franklin. Obviously, has a connection with Bo Nix going back to Oregon, so that's a good thing. And Sean Payton loves big receivers, and I think he pairs nicely with Cortland Sutton across from him. It was pretty good seeing him finally get some target share at the Colts. Wan'Dale Robinson is a guy that I think even before, obviously he had a monster game because rising tide, lifts all boats, right? Mm-hmm. So Russell Wilson went off, and so that passing offense went off. But the thing about Robinson is he's just consistent. If you're in a PPR league, he probably should have been rostered anyways. I think going back to last year, he had at least 5 receptions in 12 of 17 games last year. He's had at least 6 receptions in both games this season. So even if he doesn't pop off for 142 and a touchdown every week, he's still valuable, especially in PPR. The rookie, Elig, or Epic, as they like to call him. Thing about that is Cam Ward, obviously hasn't been great, but he hasn't been terrible. And I think what we're seeing with the Titans is they have a condensed offense, and they're going to be facing negative game scripts week in and week out. And so there's going to be some volume there. So, whether it's Ridley or Aomanor or even Chigakonkwo is somebody I think is going to have some pretty big weeks heading up because, rookie quarterbacks and their tight ends. So I think they're very talented guys. They're young. They have opportunity, and wide receiver specifically is always the waiver wire is always littered with talent especially in the first couple months.
We only have a little bit of time left to see a lot of people really liking if you have Caleb Williams and you have a 2-quarterback system, or you have 2 quarterbacks in your roster. It's a big week to start Caleb Williams against the Dallas Cowboys. What are other some like must starts this week for certain players out there in the National Football League?
Yeah, no, I'm big on Juwan Johnson. I think he's the guy that stepped forward at tight end. Tight end position is always a wasteland. He's going on the road to the Seahawks. I think they're once again going to have a negative game script. They're going to be behind against the Seahawks, and I think his volume is still going to be high. So if he's still available, he was still available in over half of leagues coming into the season. On the other side, I like Sam Darnold. If you're dealing with some issues at quarterback, I think he's a great streaming option this week. I think they're going to have a big game. He had a pretty good game against the Steelers on the road. They're going back home, 1-1, a chance to go to 2-1, and I think they're going to have some success on offense. So I think Darnold's going to have a pretty good game this week.
Eddie, appreciate the time as always. We will talk to you again next week on a Thursday. No more preemptions with the Padres, but good luck this week in fantasy football.
I appreciate it, Brendan. You take care.
Eddie Brown joining us on the Braden Surprenant Show. San Diego Union Tribune sports writer. He's our fantasy football expert. I love when he mentions names of guys that I've already picked up, like Juwan Johnson. It's great. It's great. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm not as dumb as I look. See
That's
that?
right. Hey, some of us know ball a little bit. A lot of conversations about Aztec football. Go get your $15 tickets on our website. We'll be there. If you're there, come say hi. Frank and I will be at the game. Hopefully the Aztecs cover. I will eat a pick this week. Even though we all picked Cal, I'd eat a pick for an Aztec win. He's Frank Marchese. I'm Braden Surprenant. No show tomorrow. We'll be back on Friday. Recap of the Padres-Mets series. Well, 2 Padres games to talk about by Friday. Join us. Quinn and Chris coming up next.